doing my part. I'm 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 doing my part.
So this is how my morning is going. Oh, man! Oh, man! Oh! Oh, no! And it was so hot. Oh my goodness gracious me. Well, that was appropriate, was it not? Good morning, everyone! I cannot believe it is June already. It is insanity. I feel like simultaneously there has been so much I've done this year already, and also, where did the time go? I don't know. But anyway, it's good to be here. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, whatever you got up to. This is still far too hot for me to start sipping on. Which makes it no good when it was on my thigh just now. Because I basically, I stumbled up the stairs and I went, but we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Also, we've had a little bit of a schedule change up. If you guys want to check that out, then go join the Discord server. Some of you might have seen it already. I think that this is gonna suit me just a little bit better. I do like the morning streams, but I find that 8 a.m. is just a little bit too early for your gal. And so I figured let's push it back half an hour. Let's see if we can commit to that. Let's see if we can get consistent. Good night, Allison. Thanks for swinging by. We shall make sure that we will find a time that we can chat a little bit more. Hello, Slap. How you going? That's what overalls are for. Spillages, not fashion. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why people use them in paint and other labor jobs, etc. Cosplay. Hello. Welcome on in. But hopefully it dries out. I feel like every time I wear this particular one is when I probably have spillages. Also, I was a little bit chilly this morning, but now that I'm up here, I'm gonna take the cardigan off because it is a little bit warmer than I thought it would be. I guess just being up in the attic, hey. Anyway, I had a lovely, lovely, relaxing day yesterday. I I got up and I was like, you know what? I feel like the perfect way for me to wrap up this month is to just do something for me. And that's what I did. And it was great. And I caught up on all of the Lego scandal that has been going on with Reckless Ben, both through their channel and with Moist Critical. It would. I tell you what. I was not expecting all of that drama. It felt so unbelievable that it was felt like it was scripted. If you guys don't know, then it's crazy. Crazy, I tell you. Hi, Gregory. Well, welcome on in. Sup, Grady? Clem is blue collar streamer, always ready to get dirty. You heard it here, folks. Drunky high. Yes, crazy. Exactly right. I was watching the first video, and the thing is that how the YouTuber edits their videos is not really my style. There's a lot of very heavy bass music, and I just want the facts. I don't want the boom boom blah 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 kind of situation in the background. But taking that out, crazy. Like, it actually just feels like a movie, genuinely. Your positive thought for the week? Oh, well, I can actually tell you this very, very quickly, Vic. So, in the Discord, I always do a quote of the week. These days, I just look one up, but in the past, it was because I had a diary, diary, that every week would have a quote of the week. So I figured if I have them available, I may as well just into the Discord and share them with everyone. But I've just kept that tradition. So like I said, now I just look it up myself. And so basically, it's whatever I get served when I go quote of the day. And so this week's quote, I actually don't remember what it was. Let's have a look. Don't be afraid of criticism. The tallest trees are always confronted by the strongest winds. Keep that in mind. Good morning from the north. How was your sauna? I hope it was nice. 6-7. You really thought very hard about what you wanted to say in this live stream. Congratulations. I wouldn't even say it was necessarily edited like a movie. I think that the storytelling was like a movie, but it just felt edited very like it was trying to hold my attention. If it's an hour and a half, so it really was like a movie, but the music, I could barely hear what some of them were saying over the music, so we just needed to like calm that down a little bit. And then the quick jump edits between stuff, it wasn't necessary. They had enough amazing, interesting content that they didn't need to vie for my attention, I suppose. But also, that is someone who doesn't necessarily have the quick ADHD brain, you know? Clearly, you should change your name to Clem Doesn't Approve. Why? Clem Approves is their own name. I don't wanna step on their territory. Hi, Neil. Pantera. Oh, I don't play music on my channel. Also, I don't think YouTube would like it anyway. Adelie, hi. I had a diary when I was in the army. It's so cringe to read. Well, that's why I wasn't sure about using the word diary or journal, because I meant diary in terms of a planner. Maybe that's a better word I could use. It was a planner rather than it being a journal. If that changes anything. Muzzer Sticks, good to see you. Good morning. Enthusiastic lady, that's cute. Thank you so much. Sauna was great. Hopped into the pond 3 times. Oh my gosh. I guess it would have been a nice temperature this time of year, hey. I think they're lumping them together for this month so every mod can show it off. Oh, right, yes, this is for the changes on Twitch. I don't see them on my chat bot, so I don't know what's going on. Oh, thank you, Toofy. That's very kind. There's a crackhead outside in the street. Well, you know, if they start getting a little bit too rowdy, you can always call the police. But Bassett, hi, hey. It wasn't just about the movies. They really wanted to get Brian his stuff. Oh, yes, no, trust me. I'm very aware of that. I think that, like I said, it is crazy situation. So for those who do not know what the hell I'm talking about, basically there was a YouTuber called Reckless Ben, who is trying to help a guy called Brian get his dad's Lego collection back from a toy store called Bricks and Minifigs. Essentially, they brought this massive Star Wars Lego collection to Bricks and Minifigs, and the owners of this franchise were going to help him sell the collection on his behalf. The store changed ownership, and now there is just no communication going on between Brian and the new owners. They're not selling on his behalf, and they're also not returning his Lego sets. And apparently this is valued at $200,000. So it's not like just a couple Lego here or there. It's a massive collection. And they're just not giving it back, nor are they selling it. And just as you continue to watch it, it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier. The takeaways that I had were basically how gross the store owners are behaving. It's like, just give it back. Like, what is going on here? And then also the disappointment in both the law and the legal systems. It just gets so depressing. And like I said, for when watching the first video, it was so crazy that it felt like it was scripted. Like there was no way that these things could be happening. The YouTuber themselves is a very tongue-in-cheek for a lot of their antics, but it is kind of entertaining. I will admit that. So it's just a massive, crazy situation. Yeah, it's like I think it might be 5 Lego sets at least, rather than 4. I think they do have a 5th one in there. At least. Hi, Phantom Knight. I love all music. There's no reason to judge music. Yeah, I completely agree. However, YouTube doesn't like me playing music is the problem. So I wasn't saying I was judging anything. I'm just saying I don't play music on the channel. Hi, Wheel. Welcome on back. Yeah, exactly. I don't wear the earrings. I actually thought about it after your question. I got myself like a jewelry stand. I don't really have a lot of jewelry. You can see that I'm not even wearing anything right now. It's not something that I particularly enjoy, I suppose. But I do have just a little jewelry holder for the 3 rings that I have, and a couple necklaces. That's really about it. And when I was putting my necklace back on this thing, I thought about your question. I was like, I don't have any earrings in here whatsoever. That's just not my vibe. I don't know what it is. I guess I just don't like things dangling on my skin, maybe. Okay, so Stonelow said it's part of the sauna culture. You hop into the pond in winter as well. Yes, yeah, I have heard about the swapping into cold and then hot and cold and hot. But I just didn't think that the pond would be super cold at the moment. But I guess maybe where you are is still a bit cooler. There's a crackhead in the walls. I believe that. We looked behind the brick here because there's a hole in the brick wall just to on this side of me. And I looked behind the wall, and it's basically just a massive empty space. So 100% a crackhead could be living behind there. Hi, Jacko. Can I ask what date you have my name written down with a big red X through it? I like to plan ahead too. That is a surprise. Thank you very much. Oh, cheers, Goyslap. I appreciate that. Speaking of disappointment, hi. How you going, Lexington? Why is it disappointment, not malappointment? Disappointment, malappointment. Oh, people very rarely use the prefix mel, I will admit. Because what do we have? Malicious? I think what I find more surprising about disappointment is that adding dis to appointment does make it a completely different word rather than the negative of the word appointment. Anyway, the short answer is English is stupid. Hi, DC Fighter. If I die, don't sell my Lego to them, please. Damn. Just my whole plan foiled. Hi, Oscar. Yeah, it's been good. I just took yesterday off instead of streaming. It was wonderful. So I'm originally from New Zealand, but I live in the UK now, just to make that more confusing. Whoa, look at that sun coming out. It's gorgeous. I have a hard time saying jewelry, same with rule and rear view mirror. Yeah, well, at least we don't have Scottish accents on top of that. The 3 rings for the elven kings under the sky. I do give off elf vibes. It makes sense. I prefer the Newspeak term ungood or double plus ungood. I remember my old housemate, he was not a big fan of fancy vocabulary, and he's like, yeah, I just wish we had, this kind of stuff. And I was like, well, you should read 1984 because you might actually prefer how they speak in there. I went to the bathroom last week and got my funny friend change my name to the bath. Oh, so okay, gotcha. So that's where this one comes from. Yeah, well, it's fine. You can always change it back. Maladjusted, yeah, instead of disadjusted. I suppose there's probably something about the flow of consonants to vowels and so on and so forth, but who knows. Hi Thomas, are you a real person? No, definitely not. Absolutely not. It's like overwhelmed and underwhelmed. Why can't we strive to be whelmed? And isn't whelmed the same meaning of overwhelmed? English is strange, man. But not just whelmed. I don't know how we come up with these words. Mal means badly, not the opposite of something. That's also a very good point, yeah. So, and so that's why I said I think my confusion is more about the word appointment. How did we end up with or if we wanted to say Mel, appointment? Appointment, I guess your feeling of is appointed. We can look, see, if you guys are curious, this is what linguistics is. If you ever find yourself curious about words and you like to find the theory or understanding behind them, linguistics, etymology, those are things you can look into. You can even study it at university. It's basically the history of words and how they came to be. Oftentimes, I will go out of my way to even look it up and find the etymology of a word, and while I'm sipping on my tea, I'm not doing that. Stray bullets for Scottish accent. What's that? Purple burglar alarm. Wait, no, I didn't do the alarm very well. Anyway, purple burglar alarm was the one that I got shown on stream one time. You give off elf and I give off dwarf. You do give off dwarf. I get it. A little birdie told me that Jesus has been trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty. Please pray back at your earliest convenience. Oh gosh, I keep on forgetting. So thank you, Duke. I do appreciate that. I'll do that on the other side. Thanks, Bill. How old are you? Old enough. I'm inappointed. I like this. Appoint. Yeah, one's feelings are appointed, and when they disappoint, it is, I don't know, we can certainly look it up. So Mel means waste. Okay, cool. I'm sure there are other similarities too. Yeah, there we go. Purple burglar alarm. What happens when you miss an appointment? One is disappointed. Well, I mean, if you answer, it's a funny little play on words, but if you actually want the answer, it depends on the person. Very sweet. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're enjoying yourself enough to subscribe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really do appreciate it. 26, close enough. I'm Israeli and my girlfriend is a Palestinian. We're like Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, a true modern tale. Yes, it just sucks that a lot of people, when they say the Romeo and Juliet, they don't mean an actual warring nations. So that sucks. Hi, Teddy. How you going? I don't care where, just far. I don't know what that is in reference to. I apologize, Roman. Okay, let's have a look, shall we? A point. Let's... So, but even there's like a prefix within the word. We have point. Do we have anything about a point? We will meet at an appointed time to decide on a specific time or place. That's where appointment comes from. And then ment being a suffix. Yeah. Assign, designate, elect, nominate, and then appointed. What is appoint? And then appointment only means an appointment, right? A formal arrangement. You know what? I feel like this might be a question for Gemini. I really do. I don't know what to Google, so I'll ask the question. Why does the word disappointment have the word appointment in it? Let's see what it comes up with. It was a tad loud. Oh yes, the sound mixing is not great, so I will not worry about it right now. Have ourselves a I don't know what this is. A locus? If I could pick 10 ideal friends, you would be in my top 10. Thank you. That's very sweet. Are you single? Why do you have to ask? Rob, why does it matter to you? Yeah, I've had stud earrings in the past, Saint Wheel, but there's just no point. If they're like, what is the point? What is the point? My hair covers my ears anyway. When you ask how you going, do you mean whether I go by car or foot or by bike? How you going is a very Australian slang. I will admit there. So, how you going is basically how fare thee. How art thou? So yes, I always find it funny as well because it gives the impression of how are you going to a certain location, driving, cycling, etc. But I don't know where that one came from. How you going? How are things? I think it came from how are things going? How are things going with you? I feel like there would be some sort of connection there. The one that gets me in England, it's more in the north, but I hear the occasional person say it down here as well, is you're right. And I'm like, yeah. Do I not look all right? Is there some sort of issue? What do you mean? Yeah, of course I'm all right. What are you asking for? But it is the northerners equivalent of how are you or how you going or hi. You're not supposed to answer with it, apparently. It catches me off guard every single time. Treatment, treat, appointment, appoint. Yes, so this one I get, but we're trying to figure out why disappointed. You know, even as an Israeli Palestinian women, women are beautiful. Yes, yeah, I agree. Didn't you find... you decided to steal our girls? Well, you can't help it how you meet someone, hey? I troll people saying I'm rusty on my Proto-Indo-European. Most don't know what that is, but they're like, interesting. There's so many people who just nod along and pretend that they know instead of expressing curiosity or being able to just not know something. I don't know what this you know what, I blame schools for it. I think that we have learnt this idea that you have to be correct. People don't want to be called out for being wrong, and so then as adults we just pretend that we know. And if you look at the schooling system, I'm very passionate about the schooling system. If you look at it, that's exactly what gets bred into us. Is okay, who knows the answer? And then people put up the answer, and then they try and choose someone else. And it's all about having the correct answer rather than having the resources and learning to get there. Anyway, I digress. My point is, I do like this answer, Oscar. This is very funny. AI, congratulations, Almond. You figured it out. I'm on a train in about 45 minutes. Enjoy the journey home. I hope you had a wonderful time at the Games Expo. You must let us know if there were any standouts. Hi, Gas. How you going? Hi, Esty. Howdy from Texas. Hi, Eric. Duckies, good to have you guys all here. The Scottish go with what's happening, but we just don't want to know what's happening. Yeah, exactly. Just saying hello. I feel like Australians are similar. How you going? Yeah, you don't have to answer. It's just howdy. and where does howdy come from? Eric, if you know that one, that would be good. How do you do, maybe? Howdy. How do you do? I feel like it must have come from how do you do? Howdy. Anyhow. How are you doing? How art thou? How do you? When people ask me how are you, I have an urge to explain exactly how my life is right now, but in reality, it's just a substitute for hello, exactly, and that's why these other ones get just as confusing. Muddy looks dirty. Oh yeah, so there we go, another similarity. You know, my name's Daniel, that's why my name is DC Fighter, because I'm trained in martial arts as well. That's very cool. Well, thank you very much for sharing, Daniel. The Wild West, exactly, the cowboy culture. Yeah, how do you do? Howdy. That's an assumption. But let me see this disappointed one. It looks like a strange coincidence at first glance. I actually don't like how the AI often try to give all of this fluff in their answers. It actually just pisses me off. Just give me the answer anyhow. The connection between disappointment and appointment actually makes perfect sense once you look at how the worlds were built. I'll let you guys read as well because I know some of you prefer reading. The original root to appoint. So we were correct about to appoint. The verb appoint didn't mean booking a time, to the point, or properly arranged. When you appointed something, you were fixing it, settling it, or placing someone into an official position or agreement. Okay. So adding meant, yes, an official decree, an agreement, high ranking, an appointment. And dis means un or the opposite of. So it means to undo an appointment. Literally, it meant to strip someone of their office, break a legal agreement, or unsettle an arrangement. Okay, so this I can understand, because then if you become disappointed in someone, you had them on this viewpoint and this standing, and now they are at a lower standing. That makes a lot of sense. I disunderstand. Over time, the word shifted from describing the physical act of cancelling a plan or stripping someone of the position to the emotional reaction. So you feel disappointment because a mental or literal appointment you had with the future was cancelled. Well, I mean, this is not quite accurate, but I can understand. Even if I don't necessarily agree with everything there, I can definitely understand the change over time coming from dropping some, like the feeling of being disappointed from someone being removed from their status, and that happening in the emotional way. What do? I would suggest calling an ambulance is what I would suggest. You have clearly the capability to use your fingies. And so I would suggest calling an ambulance. Or maybe the problem is that you can't speak, and that is why you are typing instead of being able to speak Waggerz. So in that case, if you're able to type, I don't know if you're able to sit, if you're able to get in a car, maybe go to the emergency room. The cat, you might have to text someone to pick them up to take them to the vet. How about that? Yes, I have been compared to, her name's escaping me, Demi Rott. Sue Heck. I have been compared to Sue Heck a few times, actually. Did have a good time. Glad to hear it, Ian. I really enjoy playing Daggerheart. Yay! A couple one-shots. Like the system. More flexible and narrative-driven than D&D, but some nice mechanics backing it. Hell yeah. How do ye, 500 years ago, to howdy, yeah. Oh, it's got some English and Scottish origin too. I would not have expected that. Thanks, Blue. My finger point. My finger point, indeed. Sneeze. I do not know how to sneeze on command. But yes, I'm from New Zealand, as the bot has told us. I like English language because of its simplicity. Really? You're one of the few people who would say that, but I guess it depends what language your first language is. But I know that there are a lot of people who really struggle with the nuances of English. That's kind of why we got here in the first place. Do you believe aliens exist? Yes. Yes, I do. The caveat with that is that I don't believe that aliens have visited Earth. I think that there are so many planets out in space that there will be some sort of creature or life that exists. I think that we can't even fathom what it might look like. But I do not think that there are any aliens that have come to Earth. Where's this background? An attic. I am living in the UK, and the person that has let me live in their house has also let me take over their attic because this entire area was just for storage before I moved in. And I went, what if I put my desk up there and that's where I can stream from? And it works out really well because they don't hear me when they're working from home and whatnot. So I think they're working from home today. And so it doesn't really bother them when I am live streaming, which is excellent. What is this live stream about? We are just interactive. We get, read messages and then we talk together, have conversations. I am from Pakistani. There we go. I need a single girl to my life partner. So you have a life partner that you are trying to hook up with someone else. That is that is what I read when I read that question. You already have a life partner, and they are looking for a girlfriend. Or at least a single girl, whatever they want to do with them. Maybe just a friend. Why does standing under something make you realize? Oh, like understand? Exactly. Well, similar to looking up the roots of disappointment, I'm sure there is a very, very reasonable and easy and stupid explanation. Because a lot of the words do get repurposed for other things, like disappointment. And so, although it might sound funny today, etymology, baby. It's you just look it up and then you find out and then you go, today I learned. Your English was easy to learn. Try learning Estonian. No, thank you. Even my pronunciation is already hard enough. Anxiety, stress is not a new thing for me, but not being able to easily regulate it is. Been listening to podcasts through the night, trying to settle, but found myself not listening at all from over-processing. Since you went live, my brain feels quiet. Oh, I'm so pleased. I don't know exactly what that phenomenon will be, but it sounds like maybe it's like a focus thing? I'm not sure. Especially at night, it can be, because I find that when I try to sleep, that I can feel the over-processing as well. And so I'm pretty good at not not then going on my phone. But I find that some nights, definitely more nights than others in the past, but these days it's not so bad, that I just am tossing and turning, inability to sleep, and then even my muscles feel really tenser. I don't know. I guess if I knew, then I would not be struggling with these things myself. Anyway, it sucks. Give me a reason so I don't go to school tomorrow. I think you should go to school though. So this is not really the right person to be talking to. I think that let me have a think. If you tell us why you don't want to go to school. How about that? We'll start there. Then we can find an answer from that. Yeah, I've seen Steven Spielberg's new movie trailer for Disclosure Day. I haven't actually watched the entire trailer, but it kept on coming up on my Prime, because I had like the cheap Prime where it still has the ads. So it'd come up on there a lot, but it was so dark I couldn't really see what was going on. And then every single time the trailer came on, it was different. And I think it took 3 times before I realized Emily Blunt was even in it. So I haven't just sat down and properly watched it. I'm originally from New Zealand, duckies. Your cam is good? I should hope so. It's very expensive. Yo, Joe, good to see you. We be friends? Okay, well, that's nice. Listening to Clem makes a brain shut down sounds about right. I love it. You know, I said I'm from Israel, and my girlfriend is Palestinian. I want to say I don't want to talk about politics because people are just going to be Israel, Palestine in here. I know that. Yeah, I think that people have been pretty good about just not jumping on that, Daniel. So I agree, but I also don't like talking politics. That's a lie. I've said this many times. I love talking politics. I don't like talking politics when I am live streaming. You can't sleep at night because you're not living out your purpose as a vampire. Is that what the issue is? But exactly right. I think that there's everything you've said, Daniel, is not encouraging the political discussions. I know it's hard over there at the moment for all of the reasons, but I am inclined to agree that the bringing it up can incidentally cause people to jump on it. So keep that in mind. But at the same time, you don't want to just like stamp out a part of yourself. It would be like for me if I just never mentioned where I'm from whatsoever. Like that would kind of suck, wouldn't it? So I do understand it to an extent. I especially like all of the silent letters in the word debt and doubt and Wednesday. It's, yeah, like I said, English is stupid. Tensor Google's in-house sock, which is a very good. Also, there is latest iteration of it and future-proofer and Wi-Fi 6 connection ready. Tensor in-house. Is it SOC? I think that word I am just not understanding. So I can see Tensor is a Google's in-house something, but that something I don't know what that means. Thank you, Kanana. Sorry, Kanan Ahmed. There we go. My brain's on ADHD spectrum. Oh, okay. So more so hyperprocessing side, not the jumping on top of school tables, throwing things around class guide. Usually find it slowing it down and switching it off, but past few weeks have just been taking a toll. So it's just nice listening to lower activity and not processing anything except my thoughts. Well, I'm pleased. Yeah, I know that can be a struggle for sure. Is that something that you think you'd want to try and get? I don't know if you're diagnosed, Sean, but I know that people who do have ADHD do seem to genuinely benefit from medication. I'm not sure if that's something they want to look into, but I also know that costs, etc. Are you handsome? I want to be friend. You can be friend from where I'm. Pakistan. I am single. Well, yes, I am handsome, as you can tell. This is true. But yes, we can. If you wanna be friends, you can come hang out and we can just chat. Look, there's many of us. You don't have to just talk to me. You can talk to everyone. Isn't that exciting? I can't sleep. Oh no! Just as we were talking about sleep, we befriend. We get shout out. Brighten everyone's day. Exactly. You look like perfect woman. Thank goodness. That's exactly what I was aiming for with my AI mask. Should definitely watch the new trailer. It's the final trailer as the movie comes out June 12th. Oh gosh, I didn't realize. Yeah, you said it 11 days. Hey, it's not that long at all. Looks mind-blowing. Yeah, all right, we'll watch it. I'll just catch up with these ones. Tensor's floating disc. Yeah, I don't know what this one is. Anyone wants advice from me? I mean, do you have advice about anything? Without me needing to ask a question on what I need advice for, because that would be great. If you just have like a boom, here's some advice, go for it. SOC. Okay, cool. I don't know what that means. System on a chip, I presume. Yeah, it's just. Everybody says I've got ADHD these days. The thing is that I know a lot of people are like, oh, you know, everyone's got ADHD or autism these days. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's not that they will suddenly disappear just because we have a better understanding of it all. I do think that there are a lot of people who, similar to OCD, they're like, oh, it's just my OCD because, you know, they like things done in a particular way. And so there can be this misunderstanding of the severity of these conditions, and people use them kind of quirkily or cutely or almost like an explanation or an excuse or even just an elitism. It's kind of bizarre. And so to get a formal diagnosis, it can be a lot harder. And I think it's great that we have the understanding in the same way that we have been speaking a lot about mental health and how a lot more people can understand anxiety or depression and try and seek help for that. I think that it's good that we have the ability to now try and seek help for these things. But I also do think it has become quite a, oh, well, you must just have ADHD. Frankie, you just have ADHD. But at the same time, if there are enough things that you feel like you relate to with the ADHD symptoms, then it could be worth looking into, for sure. Instead of politics, let's bring. Well, we're not talking about your relationship at the moment. So no, thank you. We've already addressed it, but we're not going to change the entire topic just to talk about your relationship, Daniel. Top of the morning. Hello, knee crappers. Oh my gosh, I just dropped something. Ba-ba-da-da-ba. The world loves you. Yeah, the world loves Sean for sure. Hello there, Thomas. Are we handsome? We are all handsome. We as a unit are handsome. Yes, give the sauna advice. Exactly right. Hi, Lionel. Yeah, we are ADHD. I've considered it for a while, but always enjoy the pros of my brain. Just put extra effort into managing the cons, just a situation kicking my brain. But yeah, I know some people are like that. A lot of people have said I have ADHD, but the only people who say that are people who have watched the live streams. I do not have ADHD. I know that I look at the symptoms for ADHD. There are not enough that I relate to whatsoever. There are other things that I relate to, but ADHD, I do not feel like that is how my brain works at all. I think some people just get surprised at juggling a whole bunch of different messages when live streaming, and so they're like, ADHD. And no, not me. But I do know a lot of people who have diagnosis, who have been diagnosed, and they've said similar, where they want to enjoy the hyper focus, like all these kinds of things, and then the medication can kind of dull that down in a way, but for everyone it's different. And it can also be a thing where you could try medication, and then if you don't like it, you can go off it. Things to think about. I don't know what the health system is here in order of getting access to it, though, so that can be a deterrent anyway. But I am glad that you are making sure to try and manage your symptoms, because I think that is a really important thing as well. And if we have more tools of understanding these things, then sometimes it can be, you'll be fine without needing to go a step further. And then if you struggle even more, then that's when you could take that next step. Make sure you have wood in the sauna stove before you light the fire. That's the first advice. Duly noted. I got diagnosed with TTTSR. I don't know what this is, and I don't think I should ask. Anyhow, hello from London, England. Hello, James. I'm a little bit more south to you. I'm down in Southampton. What is your ethnicity? I am from New Zealand. And so I have a mixed ethnicity of Maori, and then my dad is German. He was a immigrant to New Zealand, and that's how my parents met. I'm from England, and everybody says they've got ADHD over here, and countries going down the pan. Yeah, see, I've only just moved, Frankie, 2 months ago. It's been maybe coming up on 3 months. And so I'm very unawares of the political situation here. We're not gonna go into it, but it's something that I'm trying to now pay a bit closer attention to, because if I'm gonna be here for a couple of years, then I'll probably incidentally just start learning a few things. But what I am seeing is a lot of disenfranchised people, and I don't necessarily know why. You don't have to tell me why, because I know that can now spill into conversations that I am not ready for to facilitate in a live space. But anyhow, I am going to probably start learning these things. But even with the ADHD, I think that across the globe, especially in Western countries, there are a lot of people who are going to see if they have an ADHD diagnosis and getting a yes, instead of someone actually doing due diligence to see if it might be a very similar condition. I think that a lot of people are just getting ADHD medication, and I say that as someone who has watched diagnosis process. People who have gone to get their test for ADHD, and I'm not really certain that I would call you ADHD, but what do I know? I'm not a psychologist, and also I don't live with these people, so maybe their ADHD symptoms are way more obvious if I were to live with them. But nonetheless, I just feel like there has been an over diagnosis of ADHD. Even people in my family who have it, I'm like, I'm not so convinced, but maybe there's just that much ADHD and it looks like very different for a lot of people. Who knows? Who knows? The best people are born in June. But wait, I'm also born in June. Oh my goodness gracious me. We're both June babies. Okay, let me catch up here. Yeah, it is a bit of crazy mix, hey. Think about disappear. What is even alchemy and where did the knowledge and writings of history go? Because Newton learned and was into alchemy before he started the gravitational force, and his learning of the alchemy made him realize the gravitational force. Damn, I didn't know that. I know that alchemy is often used in fantasy settings, but you are correct. That is not something that I guess a lot of people really delve into these days. Something I'd have to look at to it. Yeah, I don't give ADHD vibes. Thank you, Blue. But I guess people who come in for the first time, maybe they might think it if I am reading a bunch of messages that have a bunch of different topics, and that might give off the impression of ADHD. But maybe it's a projection. The people who are only watching for 30 seconds and they're like, you have ADHD. I'm like, okay, just because you couldn't listen for more than 30 seconds doesn't mean I have ADHD. What was there before ADHD? AD standard definition. Hilarious. That one got me. That one got me. I like this one. How old are you? I'm going to turn 21 this June. I'm going to be turning 30 this June. Call me ADHD. I like it. I have AD HAR card. AD HAR card. I'm not Australian, no. I am not Australian, Portello. But I think that I think you got the answer. There we go. Happy Pride Month as well, indeed. Before scientific measures of physics and chemistry, there was alchemy and I thought that said menstruation. And I was like, sorry? I don't know what mensuration is, though. I've not heard of this one. What about politics? Do you follow it? I mean, I've got a New Zealand election this year, so I've been starting to try and brush up on some of my New Zealand parties and the policies that they're wanting to do. But I need to get better at my New Zealand politics, admittedly. Just like any country, it's hard to ignore and avoid American politics because it's America. But I will confess, my British politics, shocking. Like, it took me a long time to even know who the Prime Minister was. Though I don't think that that's my fault, because for a while there were so many Prime Ministers coming in and out, and I couldn't keep up. And then, you know what, there was that girl that lady, I should say, who was only in for a month or whatever. So I don't blame myself for that one. But that alone shows that there might be something a bit funny going on here, right? So no, I don't. If we're talking about British politics, I don't know British politics whatsoever. Upbeat can be easily attributed as ADHD, but upbeat is mentality, not a brain disorder. Yeah, and there could be like some manicness to it as well. There's stuff there. What's the best bread and cheese for your perfect grilled cheese sandwich? Ooh, I've not really thought about it. I don't know. I feel sad that I don't know. I guess because I don't really make myself cheese toasted sandwiches, and so I don't think about what I put in it. You're upbeat, so oops, where was this? You're upbeat, so that'll be the reason you get labeled with ADHD. Ah, they're like la 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 la. Fair enough. There is a Northampton, indeed. Not on my watch. Yeah, we're not allowed to be proud around here. Hey, Jake. My friend said she's diagnosed with DDD. I don't know why she laughs saying that. Yeah, I don't know what that's meant to stand for. I talked to a person once who told me she was from Hereford, and I was like, Wereford? That was a good one. I love your yapping. Thank you. I appreciate that, Ahmed. I was born in June. Yes, I saw this one. I don't know who Tommy Robinson is. Sorry, Frankie. Not familiar. ADD was definitely a thing, but I don't hear people talk about ADD anymore because there's attention deficit disorder and attention deficit hyperactive disorder. So I think that ADHD is meant to be a type of ADD that talks about that hyperactivity, but everyone says they have ADHD now. So that's something that we'll have to read up on in the DSM-5, I think is now there's another DSM-5. I think they did a update to that one too, to really understand what is classified under the umbrella now. From what I see on British politics, Boris Johnson was like a character from The Office. Not in a bad way, but he was giving funny interviews. Boris Johnson just reminded me of Trump a lot. Like, they just even look the same, right? Yeah, we're the best, Gilly Grant. Ain't the whole stream got you ADHD? Exactly. Happy early birthday. Thank you. Have you ever taken an IQ test? 180. No, there's no way. 180 is like, I feel like if I had 180, I wouldn't be here on a live stream. Not because I feel like these high IQs can't be live streamers, but because I probably would, I don't know, be building rocket ships or something. Clem, is ADHD absolutely desirable and highly distractive? Too sweet. Okay. Oh, sorry. I am a little bit behind, but I'll catch up. It's taking Keir Starmer a long time to realize he's Prime Minister. Yes, you can call me Big Sis. That's fine. I don't like sissy. That makes me sound like a sissy, but Big Sis is fine. Yes, I'm a Gemini too. Mensuration is the branch of mathematics that deals with calculating length, area, perimeter, and volume of various geometric shapes. It is divided into two primary categories such as 2D and 3D. Very cool. Today I learned. Thank you for teaching me. Hi, Ben. Hi, Herring. Warburton seeded batch? No way! You're kidding! I don't know what those words mean. Have you heard that Australia has agreed to take up to 1 million illegal aliens from the US? No, I have not heard that. But I that is a lot of, my assumption was that it wouldn't be true, because that would mean that they'd find 1 million illegal aliens, specifically Mexican, and that just feels like too high a number. An esports commentator, maybe if I were better at understanding sports. You seem like a June baby, but don't look like a Gemini. Interesting. Yeah, I can't tell you why. My knowledge of astrology is lacking. It doesn't make cheese toasties. Well, that's the thing, is when I cook, I don't make a cheese toasted sandwich. I make a whole bunch of other things. So that is the problem. I made a big old pasta last night, but I do not make cheese toasties. I make, I guess, like, I made enchiladas. I just don't make cheese toasties. So I can cook, I just don't make cheese toasties. I have ADHD. What did you just say? Good one. Is the stream delayed? The stream is delayed on YouTube by a minute or so. There's not really anything that I can do about that, Ahmed, but I also am slow at reading, so keep that in mind. What city are you from? So I'm originally from New Zealand, and so from New Zealand, I grew up in a town called Hamilton, or city called Hamilton, but these days I'm living in Southampton in the UK. It feels like it ended so quickly, Billy. I was like, what the heck? Where did this come from? Wasn't it called shell shock or something simple in the 20th century? Shell shock, it's like surprise. Oh, you mean for ADHD? No, I think that shell shock has a lot more military kind of connotations and correlations, but I'm not 100% sure. So far, May for me this year is actually fun. I'm so pleased. I'm glad. I hope that that means that you've been doing some cool things. Okay. No, you're right. You're a good Planes. Twitch is more live. That's the one. Wasn't there a study that happened recently that found that rocket scientists and doctors had a similar IQ to the average IQ? I'm not sure, Lewis. I haven't seen anything like that. It wouldn't surprise me in a way. I think that there are some people who are just very good at putting their head down and studying, and that, you know, C's get degrees, and consistency and commitment. These things can be very important in medical fields and even in engineering, as the monotony. Maybe they're just very good at monotonous tasks, but they also have to have a high understanding of things. So I'm not sure. I don't put a lot of value on IQ anyway, the same way others do. So I don't feel like I'm a very good person to be speaking on behalf of speaking about IQ. I have a full 180 IQ. That makes me smart. Yeah, it makes me the opposite. The full 180. Hey, happy birthday for just a little while ago. I love pasta. I eat so much pasta and curries. I am also someone who makes a lot of curries. Slippery Starmer, yes. I am aware that Starmer is the prime minister now, but it took a while. But I've not heard Slippery Starmer. That is a. I will I think that once the New Zealand election is out of the way, then I'll probably start paying more attention to British politics. But similar to there being like a bunch of rallies or marches, I think I'll probably incidentally learn kind of how people are feeling about things, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily learning about the politics of things. Does that make sense? Anyway, I will look into it. Shell shock? Yeah, that's what I thought as well. It was PTSD rather than ADHD. So maybe that's what Stonelord is conflating as well. Hi, Banana. Most scientists and mathematicians were all neurodivergent back in the day, and still are, really. I live in LA. There we go. Okay. I hear that you love your girlfriend, Daniel. I know that you love your girlfriend. You have made how many posts about you loving your girlfriend and how cute you look together. And I think that's beautiful. But that is not what we are talking about. So, just heads up. It's nothing to do, and to be clear, it's nothing to do with ethnicity or where you're from. It's just whenever I have this massive paragraph, and it's just about you gushing about your girlfriend when that's not on topic, it slows me down. Anyway, enjoy your late night Taco Bell. Yes, do it. Do it, Matthews. No, we are not 180 IQ. That's what we're talking about, is that we realize that is ridiculous. Seems like people get diagnosed with ADHD so often. Yes, that's how I feel as well. And so I do understand that there probably is a larger amount of people with ADHD than we realize, but I'm just not fully convinced that there are the amount of ADHD. I think that maybe it is just a new age that is occurring at the moment, where we just have this deeper understanding of ADHD, and there really is just that many people with ADHD. The same way that I think a lot of people are surprised at how many people could be diagnosed with depression. And so maybe it is just that crazy that there are that many people with ADHD. OCD is not inviolable. You got to check if the door is locked 100 times before you leave work. First world problems. Yeah, and that's the thing is OCD, a lot of people are like, my OCD, ha ha ha. It's like, no, it's actually very crippling. It's not cute or quirky. And usually when people say OCD, they mean OCPD, which is a personality disorder that a lot of people don't even know about. And I think that there are a lot of, I would put it in the neurodivergent umbrella as well. And so I think that that's where a lot of high-performing individuals could potentially have OCPD, where they're quite particular. There is an obsession with perfectionism. I think there are a lot of people who can be in that umbrella. But it is just not, for some reason, ADHD and ASD, they popped off over the last few years, I guess with the updates with the DSM-5, but OCPD has just kept swept under the rug a little bit. I'm not sure. I would have to read the DSM-5 to really understand, I suppose. Yeah, OCD can be super bad, exactly. It is crippling. And that's the thing, is ADHD can be very crippling, and autism can be very crippling. And so a lot of people just kind of look at the quirky, cute, and fun and positives. There are some positives of it, but I think that they forget why a lot of people want to get these things diagnosed as well, especially ADHD, because it can affect your relationships, your living, etc., etc. Okay, let me catch up here. Happy June Tembathon, everyone! Thank you, Phil. Curry's love, meatball spaghetti, sauce and red cheese, so good, yeah. And McDonald's is better, you reckon? I haven't had McDonald's in a long time. But yes, I can learn a grilled cheese, and then once I learn the grilled cheese, I will learn the best bread and the cheese combination. How about that? I'm an illegal alien. Me and thousands others want to take asylum in your country. Are there jobs there? Well, I also am an illegal alien. Keep that in mind. No, I'm not. I'm just on a tourist visa at the moment, and I need to get my proper visa. But if if I stay here too long, then I would technically be an illegal alien. But right now, I am not. So you have to be more specific, because I myself am an immigrant. And so if you're just trying to stir the pot, you're stirring the wrong pot. Britain's already had one king who managed to get rid of his stammer? Which, like the stammer? I don't, like, that actually is just, I can't even figure out what that means, to be honest. Yeah, that one just, I do not know what this one is. Okay, catching up. Is New Zealand election bad, as in the parties or representatives, or good? I mean, just like any politics, it can be a bit rough. Society's inclination to label and vilify because of that attachment, subdue and oppress, it has become a problem in itself. I also don't agree with those who use it as a crush. Labels are dangerous. Yeah, some people say labels disable, but I think that it just depends. It's nuanced, right? It depends on what you are talking about. And for some people, labels can be very liberating because it helps explain how they feel and all this kind of stuff. For other people, it can cause a stigma. But it's very cop-out answer, nuanced. I think it's neurospicy these days. Yes, the official term, exactly right. I have ADHD. I'm not surprised. Gushing is, yeah, it's a fun word. I don't recognize my ADHD in its cons. I try to take accountability of those, but I don't recognize it for its pros in my day-to-day life. And that can be really tough as well. And that can cause other issues of anxiety and whatnot. A campaign to sell more pills. I'm not so convinced. I think that it is easy for people to go, okay, you think you have ADHD, here you go, here's some pills, and not doing the due diligence to aid people with their journey. So for example, my sister got diagnosed with ADHD, and her psychiatrist does no work, or psychologist has given her no tools to actually manage her ADHD outside of just medication. And so it hasn't really helped her since getting diagnosed, because she still has a lot of the she's has a highly stressful life, and so the managing stress, they haven't given her these tools. And I think that's where a lot of these diagnoses can fail, is that there's not the care to going into looking after a patient. It's just, okay, here you go. And that's what I have a big issue with. Psychiatrists are giving themselves and others more power than they should be allowed. They also so infused with their God complexes that I see overdiagnosis as a problem. Yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking as well, Banana. What about the word gusto? Well, gusto means that you have a lot of like enthusiasm and motivation. OCD, yeah, is bad. OCD is complicated and hard to deal with. Speaking from personal experience and years of struggle. I'm sorry to hear that, Alex, but thank you for sharing as well. What's your half-year resolution? Stick to a consistent streaming schedule. It has made everyone and their neighbor attempt to diagnose it also. Yes, peer diagnosis, right? But I think that comes from an issue of lack of mental health facilities and institutes and the access of care to them. I think that if all of these things were free and easy to manage and not massive wait lists, that would actually see more people who just, like the GP, pop into a therapist, a psychologist, get a quick little once over, and then go, actually there is something here. Let's look into it further. Or no, we're not seeing enough to have a formal diagnosis for XYZ. However, we can hear that you're struggling with anxiety. Here are some tools with that. And I think that is because I am pro having more mental health care in our world. Does introversion have a fancy acronym? No, that's just introvert. We don't need an acronym for that one because it's not a disorder. And so that's where these acronyms come from, is that they're often a longer thing. So like borderline personality disorder. So that's why it has an acronym. Not necessarily that there are more people with ADHD, just more people getting tested. And this is, yes, I agree with this for sure, Cody Cameron. Daniel is DC. A lot more people are also being diagnosed with cancer. Ooh, interesting perspective there for sure. As we get more tools to diagnose things, there will be more diagnoses for sure. But ADHD is more of a subjective diagnosis, so possibly more false positives as well. Yeah, rather than being able to do like an X-ray or scan to see the inside, it's kind of someone just going, okay, you feel like you have ADHD. Okay, well, we'll put you on some medication. I have the full pack. 2 disorders, and I'm autistic. I don't like going into detail, but it's nice to relate. Oh, well, I am sorry that it is got, the Thanos glove there playing, but hopefully you can find a lot of the positives in all of it too. Like what we're trying to look at in the conversation too. But Anna says, I had to fight like hell for my re-diagnosis. The initial was made in a heartbeat, and the dismal of extreme long-term and real trauma made me question their capacity in the medical profession. I see them as despicable Cenobites. Oh my goodness, banana. Yeah, if you had to get a re-diagnosis, then no wonder you have such strong opinions on it. Oh, I don't have an expired visa. I just have to apply for my visa. Pomelo! Yeah, we're talking about diagnosis, Citrusella. If I live in Australia and go to New Zealand, then I be an immigrant. I don't know what they call it. A temporary resident or a permanent visitor? I guess we'd have to look at the definition for immigrant as well. Hi, Brod. Welcome on back. It is human nature to label, and that's something that I've had to remind myself as well, is that humans do want to try and categorize something, and that's why labels do help. But I wish we were simultaneously better at looking at it as a gray label rather than a black and white. I used to be autistic, but not anymore. What? You can stop being autistic? Is that just something you decide on? I am who I am. Doctors and any layman caring to judge and label can go take a long walk off a short beer up. It's how we make build schemas that help us navigate the world. Yes, I do agree with this for sure. The Mick in McDonald's means son, so to point, it would be Mick McDonald's, like great grandson of Donald. Cute, man. Greetings from Greece. Thank you, Alex, and welcome back, Ethan. HPV vaccine. Fascinating. I was diagnosed with it as a child, but not anymore. Oh, so does that mean that they had a false diagnosis in that case, Harvey, maybe? Pre-Abrahamic Middle Eastern religions thought God created the world by labeling it so. Well, not just them, I guess. Not just the Middle East. It's crazy how people have to wait years for a few questions about ADHD and stuff. Yeah, and especially for ADHD, it's like the process for diagnosing ADHD is the most anti-ADHD thing ever. Dyslexia rhymes with Dalek. No, it doesn't. Dyslexia. Dalek. Anyhow, so we're the supreme rice indeed. In ADHD, people get very hyper, like it's harder for people to focus for a long time and for a short time as well. I would suggest then to do meditation. Yes, but that's the thing, is that with ADHD, it's not just as simple as meditation. That being said, I do think that it can help, but it doesn't mean it's just that is what they do to help with to solve these things. That's why they need more tools at their disposal, and a lot of the tools for ADHD specifically is medication instead of, like you say, meditation, breathing techniques. Mindfulness is a big one. Pomodoro techniques, like habit building. And a lot of people with ADHD, I understand they will go, well, it's like you can't just reduce it and simplify it to that. I know. I know, but that's the problem, right? Is that the tools out there are not from the layman like myself. The tools that people have are from the medical professionals, and the access that they should be giving people access to those tools. And I feel like they're just giving access to medication. And I say that anecdotal evidence, I suppose. I'm well, Georgie. How are you? I think it's worthwhile understanding things and knowing what they are so they can... Oh, where was this one? So they can be addressed and not used as a crutch. I hate the concept of crutches. We're human, though, so we can handle mistakes or mishaps, but shouldn't normalize them with labels. Yeah, and I know a lot of people have stigma around kids getting diagnosed, where they're like, I don't want them to use it as an excuse, but then that can be damaging because it's not so much about using it as an excuse or making it a crutch, and rather having it an understanding, so that when one gets upset at a situation, they understand where that emotion is coming from. When they're struggling to study, they understand why they are struggling to study, and then can have the tools to overcome those hurdles. Whereas if people are not getting access to the tools to overcome those hurdles, that's why it becomes a crutch, in my opinion. There's been a lot of work to get better at detection in underserved populations in regards to identifying people as autistic, as in a lot of recent increase on that is due to increased detection among women, people of color, and adults. Very true. I imagine ADHD probably has some reasons similar to that. That's a good point. So instead of it being, yeah, because you're absolutely correct. There are a lot of people who are getting diagnosed outside of what autism used to look like, which is a lot of young boys would be having the majority of the diagnosis, and now we're seeing a lot other demographics. And so you're right that maybe ADHD has a similar thing, but would have to look into it to be certain. Labels can feel bad sometimes, for sure, but there are some support systems built around it. True. Kia ora gamer. Half year celebrations are on the 23rd of June. Midsummer celebrations all across the Nordics. Feel free to visit. I'll probably be in England still. I don't think I'll be able to do a trip too far north around that time. My family, there's someone with cancer, and to be honest, they're doing really well. I'm glad to hear it. It's one of those rare cancers, but we thought it was going to be bad, so quite lucky indeed. And, hopefully they just keep going to their appointments and it goes okay. Think about labels. Yes, they can help you find a community. I think that that's a really nice way of looking at it. You just have to realize what a label is and what it isn't, or what it shouldn't be. For sure. I like this. I think of that in fandoms. If we want to be really, really reductive about labels, you can enjoy a fandom at any level. You're not a fake fan if you don't know a Pokemon outside of Pikachu, How's it Monday morning going? Great. I have just started a little bit of a new schedule, giving me an extra half an hour in the morning, and it was really nice. How you feeling? I'm feeling all right. Aussie's just like Kiwi in on special rules. Exactly, and opposite as well. Hi, Aussie John. It's good to see you every time I do. It makes me happy. Ah, thank you. Embrace your ADHD if you have ADHD. Who is this Lay after whom Layman got his name? It's Mr. Lay, the guy who makes the chippies. Hopefully the label can facilitate progress, and the progress will be good, exactly. But sometimes that can be... the same thing that creates the opposite effect. So for me, I always use the term like feminism. A lot of people, and veganism, a lot of people look at these things as really, really bad, but the core of them are really, really good. But it's the people that can warp and change and diminish a term, and we see that in religion as well, and then that turns into discrimination. And so I think that similarly, a label can be empowering. And as Citrus Alice said, it can help you find a community. But it can also then cause some opposite effects. And we all know this. I don't really watch comedians, sorry, Ethan. So I can only tell you Jenny Tian. She's very funny. She's an Australian, and she's like the only comedian that I follow. I've gave about halfway through a couple of ADHD assessments online and been procrastinating resetting one. So that I think that means I'm officially diagnosed. I think so as well. Nice to meet you too, AJ. Yes, I missed the Dalek joke. That one, I do not know at all how that works. Bula! Hi, Rural Sheepdog. Welcome back. I have ADHD. Thomas! From Wikipedia's lead in religion organizations, the laity, or individually a layperson, layman, or laywoman, consists of all members who are not part of the clergy, usually including any non-ordained members of religious orders, e.g. a nun or a lay brother. In secular usage, by extension, a layperson is a person who is not qualified in a given profession or is not an expert in a particular field. Thank you, Citrusella. I have dyspraxia. Yes, I remember you mentioning this a while back, Herring. And it's one that very few people talk about. I only recently discovered half of all dyspraxic people have ADHD. Oh my gosh. After spending many, many years unmedicated and figuring out coping methods, I can now confidently tell you there is no substitute for medication. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Herring. And congratulations on also like going through your journey, because it would not have been easy. So I'm glad that the medication seems to be helping with you. It's not meant to be a mental health stream, Malabzen. We just talk a lot about a lot of topics. And so sometimes it will be movies, sometimes it will be about ADHD. And today it happens to be about ADHD. It's always a little bit different. Hi, Nine Fox. Good morning. Girls are supposedly harder to diagnose because they're better at masking. Exactly right. That's stuff that I've heard as well. What up, Ryan? What would you do if you found $1 million? I'm very, very boring. I would go to the police and I would tell them, hey, I found $1 million. And then it is out of my hands. I would not even pocket a single dollar. I am very, very boring that way, but that is why we have rules and we have regulations and we have systems for this. However, I will say that, as I mentioned at the very beginning of today's stream, watching the Lego scandal that is going on, I do understand people's mistrust for the police. I really, really do. And it's very, very sad. Anyhow, the girl swing in autism seems majorly down to girls' ability and desire to master have symbiotic personalities with friends around them. Us guys are more commonly on the social attitude, I don't care, so autism is more easily found in guys. And also, when girls, as in I do mean young girls, but not exclusive, but when girls are displaying hyper fixations, then they aren't always seen as autistic, because there might be Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is a great example. How many people out there, even if you don't know anyone personally, but you can imagine how many girls, even women, have just posters, or Harry Styles, you know, it's this fandom. People call them fans, or obsessed fans maybe. But to me, I'm like, that's just an autistic kid with their hyperfixation. Obviously, it might not be autism, but stuff like that goes unnoticed because it's not train autism or plain autism. It's a different type. So for me, I definitely relate to a lot more autistic traits than I do ADHD traits. I'm not saying I am autistic. I'm just saying I relate to some of the traits. And when I think about me as a kid, Barbie movies. That was my thing. And I would order them very in chronological order. And if they were out of chronological order, it would upset me greatly. That is what my hyperfixation as a kid was. Snorlax is your favorite? Hell yeah. You know, I may be skeptical, but there would be a drug to cure ADHD. Well, I don't know about drug, but that's what medication is doing for people with ADHD, at least. Nick Swanston and Steve-O and Tom Green. There we go. Yeah, I don't really follow comedians. My message intended before thanking you has completely overtook the commentary. I wanted to thank you for quietening my brain. And this is exactly it, Sean, is you do not have any you do not have to feel like embarrassed or anything. I guess it is a realization, right? But that's how I look at quote unquote normal conversation. That's why I say I compare my content to going to coffee with a friend, is you don't necessarily know what you're going to talk about, but it will flow from one thing to the next. And if you go to coffee and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just really struggling to sleep at the moment. And then the friend says, hey, have you tried this? No, I haven't tried that. I've never heard about that. And all of a sudden we're now learning about this, that, and the next thing. And it's like, oh, well, let's look that up. And then that turns into one thing. It's just how conversation works. Do you also sometimes say half a dozen instead of 6? I find it so irksome when people say it in documentaries. No, I don't use the term dozen, but I will say fortnight, admittedly. It is 10 in the morning for me, Red Beam. Greetings from the Church of Hunter Biden, indeed. That vegan teacher, she's trying to do more stuff to support vegans and turn more people vegan, but she forces words into other people's mouth and is rude about it. People can eat what they want. And that's the thing, is I guess for some people it could be a marketing tactic where she is getting more views by kind of rage baiting and jumping on larger audiences. But I'm just not convinced that maybe her tactic is, if I can just get one person out of that million, then I've done a good job, and good for her. But I do think that it villainizes veganism way more. I am not vegan myself, but when I think about veganism and I think about why people are vegan, it's very hard to look down on it. They are against animal cruelty. They are for environmentalism. They want a healthier lifestyle, although in that case that can start getting an asterisk, because some people just will eat like deep fried goods which are technically still vegan. But being against animal cruelty and wanting to have a healthy world, that's beautiful. You know, I think that's gorgeous. And so that as an idea, how is that a bad thing? How could anyone be like, oh, I hate vegans because I hate that they are against animal cruelty? Like, that is just ridiculous. However, why do people hate vegans? Because they hate people who are aggressive, and they dislike people who are obnoxious, and so on and so forth. That is why people don't like vegans, not veganism. At least in my opinion. That is my take. What if I cleared it? Would you keep the $1 million? No, I do not want $1 million. There's no rules against finding $1 million on cash on the ground. The police will just pocket it anyway. That's not my problem. I keep in mind that if I now pocket $1 million, I do have to report it, though. That is called income, and you do have to tell tax man. I don't want the $1 million, okay? $1 million in cash would be a huge part. Unlikely you would be the first one to find it, but what if I was? Someone has to be. If it's just a bag of cash, no identification, what good will giving it to the police do? Because I'm a law-abiding citizen. I don't have anything that I would want to do with $1 million. $1 million is too large. If I now say buy a house with that, I've had to report where my $1 million were from. I have to pay tax on the house, and I can't pay tax on the house because I've blown all of my $1 million that I found on the ground. Guys, come on. However, if you are the type to just kind of drip feed it over several years into spending a little tenner here, a little tenner there, okay, maybe I understand it. But for me, I think of all of the things that cause me anxiety, and I don't want the $1 million, okay? Thank you, Big Ron the Boss. Much appreciated for the 37 months. I hope you've been well. I'm All Night Warrior. I hope you are well too. Okay, let's wrap up these things. ADHD can't be cured. It's just a way of being. Exactly. But I think that the theory was, what if it can be? Because then it could be like limitless, like the movie. Doesn't cure ADHD, it treats it. That's a really good word of using as well. Helps you cope. Drug to cure ADHD, weed. Yeah, that's always gone well, hey? Asmund girl, thank you, Sean. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Yeah, the vegan teacher I find insufferable. Like the thing is, I haven't watched a lot of her stuff in a long time. The only time I never watched her individually, but the only time I ever saw her is when people were reacting to her talk about themselves. And she's just insufferable for sure. And I very rarely will put such damning words on a person because it makes me feel mean and bullying. And I don't want to be attacked by the vegan teacher. She's scary, man. She's scary. However, my point is that that kind of individual is why a lot of people will not want to be vegan, because they think that is the spokesperson for veganism. No ways, man. No ways. High school student I work with will full info dump at length about superheroes. Really loves Batman and his sidekicks. We'll talk at length about all the different Robins or whatever the deep personal issues. Once when we had a long part of school day that was just free time, I brought up Miraculous Ladybug just so I would actually know what she was talking about. That's so cute. Oh my goodness. These days, says Giant Frey, there is so much help for mental and psychological problems. I never had that growing up. At 63, I struggle with ADHD, autism, and social issues. Most of the time, the only way for me to cope is to isolate myself from others. Many people don't understand that a man of age can have issues. Yes, exactly. And that's the thing, Giant Frey, is like you've yourself have recognized is that you didn't have that when you were a kid. And so I think it's a really great thing that we have this understanding so that we can get earlier intervention. But when you've had now 60 years of the way of being and being from a different time, then you don't have those tools, and it can be harder to undo some of the issues as well, because they're more ingrained rather than having those tools as a 5-year-old or whatever. But thank you for sharing, Giant Ray. I know that can be really tough, and I'm glad that you feel safe enough to share these things. People aren't against veganism, they're against people imposing views onto others. Amen, brother! Amen! Yeah, a lot of groups in society. I think if they were less imposing in this day and age, most things would be more common and integrated. But I guess some people just feel like it is their moral duty or something to save everyone else. And it just becomes obnoxious. I don't hate vegans, I hate when they arrogantly push their views. Her bio says fighting homophobia. So this is the vegan teacher. Fighting homophobia, racism, and veganism, but she only fights veganism? What the heck? Yeah, that's ridiculous. My goodness gracious. It is June, isn't that crazy? $1 million is too much, but a tidy 50,000 in a bag with a note saying, "To Clem, thanks for everything is fine." Thank you for that one, been a while. It was really kind of you to do that. I didn't want to bring it up on stream, but since you've brought it up, yeah, thank you. That was really sweet. I'd prefer next time if you give me a heads up that you know where I live. But the 50,000 also kind of made up for that. So like, no big deal. Just don't share my address to anyone else. And yeah, thanks for the 50K. Do a flip. I wish I could do a flip. That would be awesome. Clem saying $1 million is too much, giving me Dr. Evil requesting $1 million when he doesn't realize inflation means 1 billion is a more realistic ransom amount. Something tells me Clem doesn't want $1 million. Not sure what. Can I eat the wool? You can certainly try. See you later, Stone Lord. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, we'll probably be on for a little while today, so you might see us playing some games if you come back later on. Hate for the aggressive proselytizer, not the humble adherent. Proselytizer. That's like from No, that's a protelier. Gosh, these words. I will have to look up what this word means because I am not familiar with it. But let me catch up with the other things first. The train Wi-Fi doesn't appear to be working. Damn. The mobile network is not great on the train. Yes, I am aware of this. But yeah, you do your thing. Ian. Safe travels. She also compared to non-vegans to the 1945 Germans? What the heck? Get out of here. Oh my gosh. Ah! You found her while on YouTube Shorts, you poor thing. I posted a deck pic. No, we are welcoming of the deck pics and the dick pics too. What are your thoughts on the conflict between Ukraine and Russia? My thoughts are that I don't do politics on my channel. Thank you, Westside. Vegan is fine, but vegan personality. Exactly. And the same thing. Feminism. A lot of people say, oh, I'm not a feminist. I'm an equalitist. Like, I believe in equality. Anyhow, I understand why people don't like the word feminism and they don't like feminists, because I myself, as a feminist, have found myself questioning my feminism because of the feminazis, and that I do think is a very fun play on words. So, hi, is this about vegans? No, I am not vegan, but we are talking about the vegan teacher. A deck pic. What's the best bread and cheese? No, not this question again. We already had a conversation about it. I've got to go. See you later, Planes. Thanks for hanging out. Maybe people feel like animals can't speak for themselves. Silly, I know. But that's the thing, is that's what I was saying, is that veganism, I think, is a very beautiful concept. I think the other thing I didn't praise about veganism is the discipline required to be vegan. It is insane. Like, the amount of hidden animal products in things that you wouldn't even expect is really, really surprising. And so there are so many things that are very admirable about veganism. But you can speak for the animals without being a dickhead about it, you know? Hi, Grandpa, how you going? Avocado toast or beans on bread? I'm more of an avocado girl, personally. Time for sunshine and tea. Delicious, delightful. Enjoying the day so far. Thank you, Night Warrior. When someone asks you to do a flip, instead of saying no, just grab one of your Pokemon. Make them do the flip. Adorable. All the best, Cobra. I have a joke about New Zealanders. It's kind of dirty. Is it about sheep by any chance? Because in that case, I have heard this before. You are certainly on the spectrum. Well, I would go get a test, but it costs too much. No, not Greta Thunberg. Vegans are the new Mormon missionaries. Yeah, exactly. Door to door knocking. But that's the thing, is that there are plenty of people, yeah, but online, there are plenty of people who can preach veganism without being a dick about it. 180 is going to need, check the word, just means preaching for the proselytizing. I can't even say it. Yeah, I've just never heard that word before. But this is what I said. It was not me. I am not 180. I'm like, well, I did do a test, but I don't like saying what I got on the test because I don't believe it. It's too high. I don't believe what it gave me, okay? So I'll say I'm a cool, maybe like 110. How about that? We'll settle on that. Many people I look up to are vegans, and I can totally see why. It's not, just not something for me, and the issue starts with people who try to force it. Exactly, just like anything. And I think that I see religion in that regard as well, is that the core of a lot of religious elements are, kindness and guidance and all these kinds of things. But then you have people who are trying to go against teachings as well. So, for example, in my opinion, something like Christianity, I don't know the other religions as much. Love thy neighbor and only God can judge. And yet, the people practicing Christianity, so many of them are so judgmental. And it just, come on, guys. Come on. Dude, just even just those two things. Just follow those two things, and it will stop a lot of the hate that you have in your heart for other people, because that is not your job. Anyhow, words are great until you add ism, then they turn bad. Oh no! Yes, ought is a very good word. What about let me think if there no, I can't be bothered trying to think of a silly word. It's Chris Tarrant on the phone who wants to be a millionaire. Oh, right. No, thank you. Don't call this number again. Yeah, but see, that's different because you would earn the $1 million. If I'm going to earn $1 million, I would be okay with it. Being given $1 million, I have not earned that. And that is why I don't want $1 million. No. Whereas if I won $1 million on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, whoo, I'll probably still not know what to do with it. I would never sign up because I'm like, you know what? If I were to ever go on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and I have spoken about this offline before, I don't think I've had the conversation has come up where it's come up online. If I were to be on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I would absolutely bow out at like $10,000 because I am so risk averse that I do not want to get to a question where I'm like, I don't know the word of proselytizing. I don't know what that means. How am I going to guess? And now I've lost all the money that, maybe I've got to $64,000 and then I've lost it all. I would get to $10,000 hopefully. And I'd say, no more questions. Thank you, Chris. I'm happy with my 10,000. That is all I will require. Nope, I don't care if I have 3 lifelines. Thank you very much. I have far too high anxiety to risk a second question. The fact that I've even gotten to this point. This is enough, thank you. This is enough. I am pleased with my I am pleased with my 10,000. If I could get there. Should we play? Maybe we could do that. Who wants to be a millionaire? I don't. That's right. Maybe. Is that why I don't want to be a millionaire? I was indoctrinated super early with that one bloody song. And I bet many of you don't even know that song. I want no, 'cause I want is all I want is you. Anyhow. I think most people would go vegetarian, but it takes a lot of discipline to stick to it. That's why people like to hate on it. No, I don't think it's the discipline. I think it's the vegans who are obnoxious. Yeah, deckhead, that's the one. There's nothing wrong with feminism nor veganism, but when you profess it to the world, you're a piece of shit. Exactly. Nice camera quality, thank you. Let's brew some coffee and let Lenny, my border collie, run the field. That actually sounds delightful. Yes, please. Thank you. You're in England now. Does it still cost a lot? I would have to look it up actually. The other thing is, it's not just about looking it up. It's about whether or not I would be allowed to get a diagnosis on the visa. So, for those who are curious, I'm a New Zealander. I'm living in England. The visa that I'm going to go on is called the Youth Mobility Scheme visa, and so it is designed for a youth, which I still currently am, to be able to spend an extended period of time, not just in the UK, but Australia, New Zealand, Canada. They all have these programs as well. And under that program, I am not a resident, or like a permanent resident, and I don't know what access I will get, and that is what I would have to look into. It's June, I know, right? Isn't that crazy? I worked my way back into faith because it wasn't easy being logically minded. Sounds silly saying I logic my way there, but I did. I grew up Catholic, but I hate the idea of religious orders. Yes, exactly. And so I understand this completely. Whole shtick was that you didn't need temples, rabbis, so to have a relationship to God, a Christian church orders are redundant to what he taught. And I completely agree. And that's the thing, is that religion, I'm not religious anymore myself, but religion is so beautiful. Faith is constantly being shaken, and choosing to believe anyway is again a discipline that very few hold, and I think it's incredibly beautiful thing. But like everything, there can be these orders and these people that can ruin a good thing. Commune good, communism bad, capital good, capitalism bad. Ah, yes, vegans good. No, vegans are not good. Wait. We're finding the flaw in the logic. Veganism, teacher lady, all words are made worse by isms. But that's the thing is, I think the opposite. I think veganism good, vegans bad. I look at it as the other way around in that regard. When say I'm a religious person, I do take and read Buddhist stuff. So I tend to agree with many parts of it. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of beautiful things in Buddhism as well. Can't be on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It doesn't make a good show. Yes, goodbye. Maybe that's the thing is I don't know what the process is. They'll have to ask some questions and vet me first. Broke myself? I hope not. I wanna be a billionaire. Yeah, Bruno Mars needs to update that one. I wish I did Broadway. I was never allowed on the stage. I've talked about my dreams being crushed at a young age of 8 years old. I wish. Hey, Garmin, welcome on back. Yes, I remember the youth. I heard it somewhere. I think Australian told this joke to me. Oh, yes. So this is the dirty joke. A man is... Wait, before I read this joke, I just want to say thank you guys for a fun conversation so far. I feel like we've wrapped up stuff about ADHD. We'll move on from there. And now talking about groups. So if we want to keep talking about it, we'll keep talking about it. But I think that the fact that we have kind of caught up shows that we've said all we needed to say for today. Ah, I am so envious. I wish that was me as a child. So, this dirty joke. A man is driving his car in New Zealand and sees a guy having sex with a sheep. And he says, "Hey man, why don't you share it?" The guy answers, "Hell no, I'm not sharing it with anyone." I have heard similar ones to this. So, for example, "Oh, do you share your sheep?" "No, we have one each." But that one's less sexual connotation, but you be your own judge. As a Native American, I was taught we will always live one with the earth, and I feel like you don't see as much of that these days. Hey, who is this? Hello, my name's Clem. My ideology is that if we were to die early, I'd prefer to be eaten by a bear. He's got to eat something. It's the circle of life. That was rude. Nah, you're fine. Who the hell crushed your board rate, James? Okay. I have spoken about this before, but we've got new people in, so I will tell you guys the story if you haven't heard it. So basically, the school that I went to promoted a lot of arts community, and so they had musicals every single year, and that was kind of my goal, is I wanted to be in the musicals. And in Hamilton, the city I'm from in New Zealand, many years ago, they had some auditions for a musical. Not with my school. This was outside of my school. Within my school, I was still very young, and so I did like the youth choir when I was 8, and we learnt how to harmonize and would sing fun little songs that were very, very Christian, like "One of these nights about 12 o'clock. The old world's gonna reel and rock. The sinner's gonna tremble and cry for pain as the Lord will come in his aeroplane." Oh, and all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small. Anyway, I grew up very Christian, okay? So I was in the choir and I sung all of these songs, learned how to harmonize. Alleluia, alleluia. Whoops, I can't even say alleluia anymore. That's how non-Christian I am these days. So my point is that we had a youth choir that I was in, and so I loved singing, and I loved dancing. I was doing ballet at the time when I was a tiny tot, and so by the time the musical of Little Orphan Annie was being advertised in my city, I asked my mother, please, let me audition. I can dance. I can sing. And then I went to the audition and I had no idea what the frick I was doing. They were trying to teach us a little dance, a little jig, and I just could not learn it fast enough. We had to sing "It's a Hard Knock Life," and I froze. I didn't know how to, I'd never heard, I didn't know how to sing that song. I thought we were going to sing tomorrow. And so it just made me very nervous and sad, and I didn't even get a call back. I didn't even get a call back. It was pretty rough out there. Despite the fact that I had the red hair. So, couldn't even be a little orphan Annie. So I was like, if I can't be Annie, then I can't be anyone. Glenn found her way into Broadway, so done what any derailed theatre kid does and started playing Dungeons and Dragons. You heard it here, folks. The other thing is, so yes, I started playing D&D because I couldn't make it in the theatre or on the film. But the only thing that I have yet to do to really cement my failed theatre kid lifestyle is to write a game that is not a game and is just an interactive story. Then you'll know that I've peak failed at being a theatre kid. Oh, my goodness gracious. Ballet, yeah. So I did it for a few years when I was very young. I actually am really, really sad because by the time we were supposed to go into Point, is when I started getting a little bit of the social pressures from friends. And so I had my best friend, she thought that my ballet was lame. So I stopped doing ballet. And as an adult, I look back on that and I'm like, girl, why don't you have more of a spine? Like, come on. However, at the same time, my feet aren't completely fucked because I didn't do ballet. So that's a positive. And now I could theoretically sell foot pics online. Thanks for the $5 on that one, by the way. Anyhow, I did really like it. I really, really enjoyed ballet. I just felt shy, I suppose. Okay, you have a good one, Joshua. Raised in church, went fishing and hunting. I guess that's in South Dakota. There we go. I can dance, I can sing, I can get a perm. Exactly. The Broadway number had more Sue Heck than I've ever seen before. I'm telling you. I was born for musicals. I've popped into London town a couple times since my move, and I've gone to the theater. I love musicals. I really do. And every time I look at the actors performing, I'm like, I should be up there. Or down there if I'm up in the stalls. It is a hard knock life, but not a callback life. Exactly right. Anyhow, you sound either British or American. That's all right. You don't have to be embarrassed about your spelling mistakes. I'm a New Zealander who lives in England. I'm still waiting for that auntie, by the way. You're so right. I have failed you. She was a rubbish friend. Yeah, there's a reason we're not talking to one another still. I actually sometimes think about her because we were best friends for kind of middle school, I think would be the period I would say was when we were like having sleepovers and whatnot. And we went to the same high school, but she left after the first year. And after she left after that first year, I have no idea where she is. I don't even know what city she lives in. I don't know where she went. She just... Nothing. Oh, that's cute, Phil. Well, thank you. Thank you for giving me a call back. I had an end-of-year review at my pro youth football team I played at, and they told me 2 things. We are keeping on 4 players. You're not in the 4. It was supposed to be 6, and we were in the 6, but it's 4, so you're not. And number 2 was he looked at my parents and said, looking at your parents, you're not going to be tall enough for... What? I was double devastated? Okay, I have to read this again because I'm so confused. So, at the youth football where Sean was playing, they said 2 things. We are keeping on 4 players, and you are not one of them. It was supposed to be 6, and you were in that, but now it's only 4. So therefore, you're not in it. Sucks to suck, is what they said. And then the second thing that they shared, to double down, was looking at your parents, You're just not going to be tall enough for us when you're older. Ouch! Ouch! I choose to believe, Sean, that you have grown to be a 6'5" tall man, and don't tell me otherwise. But I choose to believe you really stuck it to that coach by becoming 6'5". Yeah, fair enough, Sean. New Zealand, I really want to go. Is it as beautiful as they say in terms of sightseeing and tourism? It really is. It really is that beautiful, truly. Do you know the King of Pop? Well, when you say the King of Pop, I think of Michael Jackson. If I'm wrong, then you must correct me. Don't tell me I almost made it. Exactly. It's like they're trying to soften the blow, but they are failing. You know, I do understand wanting to soften the blow, but that's not how you do it, man. I'm a very dude. I do combat sports, ride a motorcycle, shoot guns, and love grilling. But people usually don't imagine that I actually did 9 years of cultural dancing and 8 years of theatre club. Well, maybe it's all a mask that you're a dude. You're like, gone full method. My role is to be a dude. And to become a dude, I must go full method. Oh, thank you, Ahmed, for the compliment then. Well, okay, so now the second question is who here likes Michael Jackson? I've spoken about this before. I think that there are a lot of people who like Michael Jackson's music. I just know that they're also conflicted about the feelings towards Michael Jackson these days. Oh, yes, Peter, I saw you ask this before, but it wasn't quite on topic. But now that we're kind of caught up, I'm happy to answer this one. Yeah, so 6'5". I'm reading the same thing you're typing, Sean. Exactly, Sean, this username is a fake one. His real name is Ronaldo. It's football, not basketball. Yes, but you're not a football player. You know, you're not a football player. You're just really tall to say fuck you to the coach, okay? That's all. I wasn't saying 6'5" so that you could become a football player. I was saying that to really show that you are super, super tall, you know? Anyhow. Oh, and then we go. So, well, do I dare ask you who the best footballer in the world is at 5'7"? But 5'10" sounds like a respectable height for a footballer. Which is why I guess you're coaching as well. Okay, so in terms of what do you think about the women that choose the bear? I personally think it's hilarious, but your thoughts? And I know that you asked if I know the trend. So yes, I do know the trend. This was a while ago now, right? A few years. So the trend was where people would ask, what would you rather be left alone in the who? How did you phrase it? Because I don't want to say what or who. Anyway, there we go. Would you rather be left alone in the woods with a bear or a man? And there was an overwhelming response of women saying bear. And the reason why it got so popular is because of how surprising that answer is. And so I completely understand people like yourself, Peter, saying I think it's hilarious. For me, I am one of the few people who would say man. Not because I'm trying to be a pick-me, but it's because I don't know how to deal with bears. Bears are not in my home country. I don't know how to deal with a bear. When I was in Canada and I saw that bears could potentially be on the trail, it freaked me out. It freaked me out way more than a venomous snake in Australia. I do not know how to handle a bear. I'd rather not be in a situation like that. I am not counting myself lucky. And so I, however, have a lot of optimism in the world of there being a lot of nice guys, and maybe that's naive. So that is me. However, I understand. The difference is that I completely understand why women were choosing the bear, because the fear that a lot of women have towards men is astonishing. It is really, really scary. I have had terrible interactions with a lot of guys. I've been lucky enough where it hasn't gone to a full extreme that a lot of people have had, but I have been harassed. I have been assaulted. I wouldn't say I've been abused. Just to put that kind of in some terms. And so I definitely understand the fear that one might have of being alone with a stranger and not knowing what their intentions are, not knowing what's going to happen, and not necessarily being able to feel like they can fend this individual off, and so on and so forth. So I definitely understand why people would have wanted to take their chances with a bear, because of how scary it is out there in our modern world for the bad faith actors that a lot of men have displayed. And so I think it's completely reasonable for people to choose a bear over a man. That is my opinion. It is completely reasonable. And yeah, but that's the thing, Sean. But the difference is that I am very realistic and I don't look at it like a metaphor. I think of it as a literal, and I go, yeah, I don't want to deal with a bear. I don't want to deal with a bear. However, I will say one more thing to have a extra kind of depressing moment is we watched Vampire's Kiss, which was an old Nicolas Cage film where he's kind of kooky and crazy, and there was one scene that stuck with me more than any of the weird faces, and and it was basically when he corners her, when there's the girl who gets cornered, and she starts breaking down, and she's so scared, she's so frightened, she's just fully like aware that there's nowhere else to go, and so she cannot run. And I'm gonna say something pretty sad, but basically she just starts crying, and in the script she says, "Please don't rape me." And that is why women will choose a bear over the man, because she was, I know it's fiction, but it is fiction based on how people feel, and she was more afraid of being sexually assaulted than of him killing her. And it just was this perfect snapshot and encompassment. It was so like shocking, but it was this encompassment of how scary, and how that is more scary than just being killed. And so when you think of the bear, yeah, exactly. When you think of the bear versus the man, the bear, they are less scared of being killed by a bear than being raped by a man. And that is what that thought project was having. And it's, yeah, it's nasty. Yep, exactly. So that is why I understand people choosing the bear. For me, however, I will take my chances that this guy will not be a gross guy. And if he is, I place my bets in the wrong place, and that's what's really sad, is that it should not be a 50-50 coin flip of whether or not you think this is going to be a good guy or not. Nasty. Thank you. I like to think so as well. Because that's the thing, is I actually was talking about this the other day offline, is because I was talking about how I know a lot of people have feminism synonymous with anti-men. And I don't consider myself one of these people. I even say that as someone who has had, even disgusting conversations and messages today in this live stream that I will get, that if you as a man are a live streamer will never get. And it's gross and it's debasing, and it's unfair. But I am a big believer that feminism is about helping men as well, allowing them to be more vulnerable and express themselves. Because as you know, there's a high suicide rate in men, and we want to bring that down. We want to bring that right down. And so I genuinely believe that tackling men's issues is a part of feminism as well. And that's what it was supposed to be. That's what I was taught when I was even just a young lass, before even double digits. And I just don't see a lot of people having that rhetoric. I remember Emma Watson bloody speaking in front of massive crowds when she started going into her more, what's the work that they were talking about? But she was talking about feminism, about how it's about helping young boys as well. And so it is, that's how I feel about it. Anyway, there's a lot of issues out there, and it sucks. Fairness doesn't exist at the moment, but hopefully we can work towards it. I have said this. I'm obnoxiously optimistic, because I just don't want to let hate and fear rule me, I suppose. I've had so much anxiety in my life. I had anxiety this week. Like, anxiety is such a huge issue that I have, and I don't want it to be. And so therefore, I would rather not continue to try and be anxious about various things. And then sometimes you get burnt, and I've had plenty of situations where I've let people in and I've been burnt by that. But I don't let those situations dictate an entire population, I suppose. And this is what we were saying about labels as well, is they're good to help understand, but you still have to look at it as individuals as well. Tell a good joke? No. Okay, let me catch up with some of these things as well. I'd rather be with a bear than a woman. I've never won an argument with a woman. That's hilarious. I love this. This is a good way of spinning it around. I think that there was a male equivalent. I'll see if I can look it up. Bear versus man, guy equivalent. But I can't remember what it was. It didn't get quite as much traction. And it wasn't the gorilla one. Paul, choose a woman. Most men is the woman. No, this is not what I wanted. Because it was basically like, oh, I actually do understand the connection now. But men have their own man versus bear. Maybe I'll have a look at this one. Okay. Couldn't get into a hockey team for not being good enough at ice skating. It was true. Oh, you poor thing. You could get into field hockey, maybe, Thief Stalker. So in New Zealand, field hockey is way more popular than ice hockey. So if you still want to have a go at your dreams, field hockey. Never cared much about MJ's music, said Nine Fogs. Not my style, I guess. Yeah, fair enough. She chose a man. No. I think I would funnily enough, here's actually an interesting thought, Sean, because you said at this stage of single, of course, said man, but I actually would feel more hesitation being alone with a man as a single woman than as a woman in a relationship. And I think that's because of that kind of protection barrier which is ridiculous. This idea of, oh, sorry, I have a boyfriend. Like, that is a line that people, even if they don't have a boyfriend, will use to try and get people to back off. It doesn't always work. I don't like using that term, because no should be just as acceptable. There shouldn't be an excuse. It should just be, sorry, I'm not interested. Thank you for the compliment, I guess. And so that is why I don't have anything more to add. There's not a why. That's just, I find it, there's just some, it is in a way, anti-feminist as well, because it's like, why should a man now protect me from another man? Like, I should be able to protect me from another man. Or the man, I shouldn't even need to be protected. Like, the guy should just be nice. Anyway, it's just a little food for thought. No, I cannot say no because I'm not Australian. I hate websites where you talk to strangers because everyone is so mean. There are a lot of very, very mean people in the world. I do agree with you there. I take the bear too, not because I don't like women or anything like that, but because I hike a lot in bear country. Yes, and so you'd have no issues. And that's why I premised it with I don't know how to deal with a bear, whereas you do. And I can see that a lot of people who are familiar with bears would have no issues with the bear, and then you can just enjoy your hike, but I do not know for certain. It's okay, knee crappers. It sucks. If it's black, scream back. If it's brown, laid down. It's white, say goodnight. Yeah, the polar bears are the super massive as well. I think people forget that because they look so cuddly. Completely understand your empathy. Yeah, there's a bear. That's very cool. Also, hi Les. They put man in box that every man would do that. Exactly. And so that's why I said, like, I understand where the women are coming from, but that's why I said it shouldn't be a coin flip on whether or not it's going to, whether that man is going to do something horrific or not. And that's the scary thing, is that at least a bear, you understand what is going to be happening. The bear might get aggressive, it might walk away. You do not have the fear and concern of the coin flip, because even if you're a guy and you say not all men, there is no way that you are so ignorant to the fact that there are men that are horrific. That might not be you, and I hope that's not you. In fact, I trust that it's not you. But you cannot bury your own head in the sand and pretend that other guys are not awful. And yes, it sucks. It really sucks if you are getting pulled in with these bad faith actors, and that happens in a lot of demographics. And so that is what is important to take away from those thought experiments, is the word I was looking for earlier. That's the takeaway, is that it's not about whether you are a bad guy. It's about recognizing that so many women have had so many awful experiences from such a young age that it can be really hard to now overcome that anxiety and now just be fully trusting, because it's a coin flip. And when that coin flip is happening within your own circle of friends, within your own family sometimes, why wouldn't the girls be scared? Why wouldn't women be scared? Why wouldn't they be frightful for their daughters as well? And so that is why it is important to recognize. So yes, I agree. I know not every man would do that. We're like I know that. But that doesn't mean that there's not a risk assessment that's going on because of the anxiety and the stories that have happened as well. That's all. What's the context? We're doing the man versus bear thought experiment. As a man, I'd pick a man because we haven't defined what kind of bear we're talking about. I'm a big gay bae, so don't favor my chances with a big burly hairy man. And you're like, even if they were a nice guy, you're like, I don't want to be hit on. Like, I just want to go for a hike, my guy. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, I'm just going to catch up here as well. Thanks for the lurk, Espec. Yeah, sorry about the rough day. Oh, I'm sorry about the medical results. But yeah, you just do what you gotta do. I don't go to the gym, but I do try and go for runs. But I want to try and get into some body weight training. I've got a confession. I'm a man. I've been a lesbian my whole life. Hell yeah! I'm glad that you understand these terms. It can be tough for people to be going through, this hard definitions, but it sounds like you have found what works for you, and that's a beautiful thing. The man bears are real. We need to tell Al Gore. There's a webpage dedicated to counting down Emma Watson turning 18, and I know that Emma Watson wasn't the only one, and that is disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. Thank you for answering the question. I appreciate and respect your answer. What my massage therapist told me is that, and I'll quote her, men are inherently good.
That's beautiful. I think that, and you know what? I'm not going to disagree. I think that there are a lot of guys who really do want, like, they have this protective feeling, and they want people to be happy and healthy as well. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that, but we also can't ignore the fact that we know there are a lot of really, really awful people out there. Would you rather be stranded in the desert with a woman or a dog? Dog. I feel like if I was stranded in the desert, I would need to just think about things. I don't know. Dog, woman. My immediate thought was dog, but that's because I just love dogs. I guess being with a woman, we could potentially bounce off ideas and try and figure out how to get out of there. Oh, you know what? Maybe I changed my opinion. I'll choose the woman because if I have no, I'll choose the dog because I'll be more likely to try and keep this dog alive than I would be to try and keep the human alive. Like, anything for you, little one. Anything. I will help you. I will help you survive. And maybe that's a bit of speciesism there, but dogs are just so cute, and I just love dogs. The optimism you have is wonderful. It makes me feel better. Thank you, Cody Cameron. Appreciate it. Have you ever had a one-night stand? I don't think this is an appropriate question to ask online, but the reason why that I read it is because I do find that I like to share my experiences, and I am a bit of an open book. And when people ask me questions, I often answer them. However, Fabian, I will not be answering it because this is the second thing you've ever asked. If it was a recurring regular, then I would be more likely to answer it because it feels like, okay, well, this is information, maybe it's on topic, etc., etc. But for that to be someone's second message, not appropriate. I have a gay boyfriend. He kisses my father when I'm not home. Well, as long as you are consenting, but if you don't like that, you should probably tell him to stop doing that. False sense of security in some ways. Does it let you know their character early? It does let you know their character earlier, perhaps, yeah. As soon as I talk to a girl in the street, she wishes me have a good day. At least she wished me well because I look like a big man bear. That's cute. Something like the security guy checking the license ID from the movie scene where the Miller's just rolling his eyes, letting everyone pass through. I don't know the scene, but I'll take your word from it. You reckon punch through that thing behind you? No, it would hurt my little knuckles. June heat waves. Well, we just had a heat wave pass, so I think we should be okay for the next couple weeks. You have nice teeth, thank you. A woman should be able to walk in a dark part in the middle of the night. Although why? And a man should stay away, but there's simply men who don't stay away, don't go there. Exactly. You don't want them to be nervous. And a lot of people always use the example of, would you want your daughter walking down that path? Like, you want it, or your sister or your mother, like, and as soon as that happens, you see a lot of guys are like, yeah, of course, like they should be feeling safe. And so why do they not feel safe when a guy might? And that's where it starts to have that understanding that there's a different perception of the world that some people have to others. And that's why it's about communication, right? Sorry if a boyfriend says, I like you, but I'm partially taking to a man saying I have a boyfriend and I'm not at all interested, says, leave me the beep alone. Yeah, but they shouldn't even need to say I have a boyfriend. It should just be, thank you, but I'm not interested. And yeah, I don't like the idea of like, oh, if I didn't have a boyfriend, then this would totally be a thing. That's just stringing someone along and gross. I am from Hamilton, New Zealand, Fabian, but I am now living in Southampton in England. Trans guy versus trans bear. I feel like a lot of people would choose trans men, but this is now becoming like, I don't know what a trans bear is meant to be. Maybe a furry, but yeah, that's starting to get into places that it doesn't need to be. I'm a good boy, exactly. You just gotta feel the tism in the forest. When you walk into a shout, hit trees with a stick from time to time so the bears hear you coming and then they leave. Well, there we go. Maybe I'll choose the bear then.
It hurts to hear the heartaches of women in their childhood. Exactly. And that's a good way of looking at it as well. And then once we listen to them, you can understand where that anxiety comes from. I wish I was from Gotham City. I don't care about all the crazies. I'd fit right in. I'd become a super villain, or at least a villain. Maybe one of the low-level villains. Yeah, I wouldn't be a super villain. I realize it now. Can't even say the word villain right. Villain. Why am I saying it like that? Have I always said villain? Villain. Okay. Well, this is my origin story because I was like, I can't say the word villain. Villain. I don't know why I say it so weird. Anyway, I've not thought about it. Okay, so glad you say, Clem, about your experience of not tainting your view of all men. There are evil men, there are dangerous men, there are malicious men, but cancelling those men doesn't change that. Demonizing all men doesn't change that. Yes, and that's the thing is I recognize how many people look so badly on women, and I wouldn't want people to think that just because I'm a woman that now... and maybe that's the thing is I have already had the experience of being a woman, now having a lot of guys have a particular impression of me that I don't want. I don't want that, and so therefore I don't want to put that on other people. Anyhow, let me finish this paragraph. Inherently, men's masculinity checks those other men. Masculinity isn't toxic, it's misunderstood. Masculinity is protection, self-sacrifice. Even aggression is important in men, but controlled aggression. Exactly, rather than unregulated. And that's the thing is so many people, they say how women are so emotional and, you know, that if you're emotional, you're like a girl, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but acting out super violently, that is... one of the most emotional things that I've ever seen. That like, yes, you can have controlled aggression, but if you are now fighting because you cannot control your emotions, emotional, baby. That is my take. Love how the male versions of this were, men beating up gorillas and scoring a point of Serena Williams. So ridiculous. There is one that I want to look up, but I'll catch up here first. First. I would love to know a secret, and I promise not to tell anyone as long as you're happy to tell everyone who's here. I think the problem is the way we bring up boys in modern times. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a lot of people talk about the family unit, but the thing is, the good male role models, like the absent father, that is not something that has been exclusive to modern times. So I think a lot of people use this rhetoric of like, you know, we just need some good male role models. Yeah, we needed that literally hundreds of years ago. that is part of the issue, is that I know a lot of people talk about the family unit, but this you can't talk about the strength of this family unit and then joke about dad leaving to get milk and never coming back. You know what I mean? Like, the good male role models haven't existed for a long time. And don't get me wrong, there are some out there. There are some great ones. Aragorn, Lord of the Rings, he might be fictional, but beautiful man. And so a lot of people will talk about the family unit like that's something that was easy to maintain. You know what I mean? But yes, a lot of fatherless boys, and so my point is that we haven't been killing the family unit. That is my point. We're not killing the family unit. That family unit struggled to exist for a long time, even when marriages, like even when we weren't having as many divorces and having more marriages, etc. The amount of men who wouldn't come home, the amount of men who would cheat on their wives, etc., etc. It is not a new thing. Coming in randomly looked like you were hating on men and not addressing women are a big problem too. Hold on, let me see. Coming in randomly and it looked like you were hating on men. Oh no, definitely not. Definitely not. Oh, no. I feel like I'm trying to do the opposite. But nonetheless, I could imagine if I was reading out various comments or if I was saying that I understand where other people are coming from, but hopefully people will listen more and not take that as the snapshot, but nonetheless. Actually saying bear maxing, hilarious, that's cute.
Still not really a valid comparison risk assessment or not. A bear is very likely to maul you and eat you alive. But I think that's the thing is that I understand the risk assessment. But I can also understand why people's default is the bear. And it's not so much about the better chance of escaping or fighting a man. It's more about what they are fighting against. A bear, they are fighting against just death. But a man, they potentially are fighting against things that they fear more than death. Yeah, saying no doesn't do the same. No explanation means absolutely no in hell, even if you're the last man on earth. Yeah, no means no. Does the current heterosexual man contribute to the existence of more people in the LGBTQIA plus community? So you're saying, like, I guess you'd have to tell me what your actual question is. My interpretation of your question is, if a heterosexual man is having children, there's a chance of that child being a part of the queer community, and therefore a heterosexual man could be contributing to the queer community? Like, that's the only interpretation that I can have of that question. I don't know what you're asking. I prefer it to be a rough world for men and easy for women. It grows strong, capable men and sweet and loving women back to the way things should be. That's kind of a sweet way of looking at it. The dog in the desert is the man or the bear. Is it? That feels like a really reductive way of doing it. Sean asking her the one night stand. Well, okay, you know what? If you actually want to know, no, I haven't. There was one person that I got close to, and then we ended up dating for a long time. So I've actually never had one. And I remember I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try, like, you know, if I'm gonna ever do it. I found a nice guy, and yeah, then we ended up being together for a lot longer than one night. So my attempts didn't work out. Anyhow, the fear they're going to answer if you read it. I said no. I had to answer it now. A regular would ask because we know how you feel about it. No, that's the thing. I'm happy to share when I feel comfortable sharing. Asking for Fabian, have you ever had a jam? Don't. Had you worried? Yeah. I feel like that's not one that I have to worry about it. You still have a better chance with the man. Yeah, but it's still a chance. That's the thing. Is I think that people. So it's not about the chance of escape. It's about mitigating that chance altogether. So instead of going, oh, like I have a better chance to escape a man who is trying to do something horrific than just a bear who's trying to attack you. It's about taking that chance out altogether. That is what the risk assessment, if you want to call it, that is. However, like I do, because the thing is, I agree with you, Wall. I agree with you. I would much rather be alone in the woods with a man than a bear. That I agree with you. However, I can also understand why other people might have a different answer. And I believe that you can do the same. And so so in this case, it's yes, you might have a higher chance of escape from the guy than the bear, but people will not even want the chance of there being something nastier than death happen, and that is what they're putting their bets in. You could say it's illogical if that's how you feel, but that is also the point, is that that's not how you feel, that's how someone else feels. I agree with the controlled aggression part. The world would be in a worse state if we didn't would be probably not in a worse state if we didn't have good people. Yeah, $1 billion, a good throwback. I used to think of all women as evil. I was severely abused by a woman for 12 years in my childhood. Fuck's sake. Okay. Took several years before I realized not all women were abusive. And yeah, and that's exactly it. That was your experience. And that's the thing, is there are absolutely horrific women out there as well. And I personally am really ashamed of a lot of the man haters these days.
And but like you said, in your experience, you were abused by a woman, and others it might be a man, and then of course that is going to shape your experience of how you see the world, and that sucks. Hi, Sahid. You'd rather be in a situation with a strong guy with the ability to damage you, but is well regulated, versus a guy with low capacity to damage you physically but emotionally volatile. That's where you get knifing and gun crime. Yeah, for sure. Oh, I missed. Yeah, I don't know if I missed the bear comment, but or if I don't think I ignored it because I don't know the one you're talking about. But I'll check it in a second. Did you used to play the guitar? I actually have a guitar here. Pop. I need to get the strings restrung though. Hi, Awad. I'm hoping by mid-rake I remembered another joke. Yes, all the best. Yes, 1,000 night stand, exactly, after like a 5-year relationship. The world being overtaken by baby seals is low, but never zero. I dated IKEA for a bit. I say dated, I had a one-night stand! That is hilarious! My goodness gracious me, how ridiculous. So stupid, I love it. Hi, Mick Joker. Well, I think, well, man will come with camping gear and marshmallows. Exactly, but that is not the same way that you can say not every man will abuse a woman. Not every man will bring camping gear and marshmallows to the forest. Like, you can understand that, right? Just because you would do it, you can't think of every single man and go, yeah, every single man would do that. You know that. You know that. Like, and so by that logic, you have to be able to see the other side as well. Okay, an American unit gets deployed into Iran. They go into the boot camp, and there's an Australian squad there. The Americans yell, "We're here to die!" An Australian answers, "So, we were here yesterday." Oh, because we're here to die! Oh my gosh, that is so stupid! Australians and their accents. Good one. Good one. Sesame Timbers. That's a naughty. I think you have me on your wavelength with the bear. In Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, they are faced with the orcs getting into the keep and killing them. Yes, but potentially doing horrible things to the women and children. So, they chose certain death by riding out to all the orcs. Guarantees their death, but prevents the other horrible acts happening. Choosing the bear is the same. I get you now! Woo! Put it out on the social medias. We can use that when people are struggling with the bear versus man aspect. We need to get a guy in the same, like in Lord of the Rings, basically. Bear is too generic. Yes, and that's the other thing is what type of bear. And it has the bear. Is it a mama bear with cubs nearby? Are they hungry? Have they just eaten? There's a lot of chances that the bear wouldn't attack you too. I'm going to try, but yes, I definitely need it restrung before I play the guitar properly. I don't need marshmallows. I'm not really a big fan of marshmallows myself anyway. Note to self, bring marshmallows, exactly. A panda bear! Well, if it's a panda bear, it might accidentally squash you, and because they're so dopey, and then you will suffocate because you will be stuck under it. Oh my goodness. I've never barbecued marshmallows. What's the big hype? I'm not a big fan of it myself. So I believe that you'd fight a panda too. I'm well, thank you for asking. But yes, I get you as well, Les, don't get me wrong. I do find it quite fun having like the marshmallow crispy on the outside and then it's melted on the inside. It's kind of like a deep fried Mars bar if you've ever tried that, I guess. Anyway, I'm not a marshmallow person. But before we fully move away from the bear versus man, I wanted to see if this lady also explained the guy version, and we can assess if we think she's done a good or bad job about it. Okay, one moment. I'm just loading it up now. You guys will see very shortly.
At this point, undoubtedly.
Here we go.
This point, undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly, you have heard of the man versus bear question.
Yes, we were just
and
talking
who
about
would
it.
a woman rather be left alone in the woods with? Well, now the tables are turning because men have their own version of the
Okay,
question.
let's see if we agree
Who would
with
you
this.
rather share your feelings with? A tree or a woman? And I'm just gonna say it, I think this is the perfect addition to the conversation. Some people are calling this the boys' revenge, but I don't even think this is asked in bad faith. It's the perfect counterbalance to the question if the point was to actually have authentic conversations about how to feel safer in relationships. Women have been saying that the whole reason that women are picking bear is because they don't feel safe with
Okay,
men,
let
and that
me
men
hear it,
should
let me
care
hear it.
about that. So it would be intellectually consistent that when men tell you they don't feel safe sharing their feelings with women, we should care about that. Guys have been hearing
like
for the
it,
last
okay.
month or so that if they have a problem with a woman choosing the bear, they're the reason that women chose the bear. Implying, I guess, that you single-handedly represent the most reprehensible of all mankind simply because you're a bit skeptical about the fight mechanics there. And all I can really say is if that's an opinion you had, be ready to keep up that same energy. If you have an issue with a man choosing the tree over the woman, you're the reason he chose tree. Oh, you think him picking the tree is dumb?
Ooh, okay.
Sounds like something that a woman who would take the skeletons in her man's closet and throw them right in his face the second she starts losing an argument would say.
Damn! Okay, so I think I am not able to comment on this one in terms of whether a guy would feel more comfortable sharing their feelings to a tree or to a woman. So is the tree streaming? So what I will say though is she raises an incredibly good point that it's not about the answer of sharing the feelings to the tree or the woman. It's about the reaction that I now as a woman have. If a guy's like, oh yeah, I'd much rather chat to a tree than a woman. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's ridiculous. That is why it is an equivalent. Not because we're trying to have this thought-provoking idea of whether a guy is more comfortable with the tree or the woman and what their answer is. It's not about what their answer is. It is about the woman and her reaction on if a guy chooses the tree. The same way that the bear versus man is not necessarily about the answer, it's about the reaction of the bear being chosen over the man. And if you are surprised by that, having the conversation of why women feel that way, and now here having the conversation of why a man might not want to share their feelings to a woman. And so in that sense, I actually do agree with her that this is a good equivalent, because there are so many women who would say that it is the most ridiculous even question. It's not, again, it's not about the answer. It's just a ridiculous question. I myself laughed at it because I thought it was very funny. But it's because I do understand that there are a lot of guys who are really not feeling safe to share their feelings and at all. Like it's not even to a woman, just at all. And we kind of briefly touched on that earlier as well. Is that is a very valid point to have, is that there are a lot of people who keep a lot of these things inside and don't necessarily know how to express them, who to talk to. And I think that it is a good counter. I do. I like her points. Would I talk to a tree? Shrubs. I never shared feelings that didn't later hurt. And because I've heard, and like I said, I can't speak for the experience of sharing my feelings as a man. I'm not a man. I'll get that out of the way. But from what I have heard from other guys is similar to what you've said, that women want an emotional man and then they don't want a man emotional. And so the idea being like, oh, I just wish a guy was more sensitive. And then the guy is sensitive and the girls actually don't know how to deal with that. And they're like, oh, well, why don't you just not worry about it? If you're sad, just stop feeling sad. And so, of course, guys will not feel like they want to open up if those are kind of the roadblocks that they're hitting, and then by the same token are expected to be the one that that girls lean on when they're emotional. So yeah, I like this equivalent is my point. I like this equivalent. I'm not gonna lie, it's a tree. The reason I'm in high anxiety, stress, and valley slope is the inability to share some negative feelings with the woman. Oh, Sean, there we go. But that's exactly it. It's scary, right? And why it's scary and how it's scary can be a lot of different things, but it's still scary. Like, a lot of people are really, really afraid of sharing how they feel. And so that's why I think that it is a great question to ask. Why do they feel it so scary? The Dadvocate is awesome. I recommend following her. All right. I have hit the follow button. It has been done. And also, I actually do keep on watching people on Instagram. I struggle to share my feelings with myself. A tree or a woman would be just as difficult. Hey, at least you're honest. Trees aren't better than women at all things listening, maybe, but others can lead to bad splinters and bad places. Speaking from experience, Sean. I know it's a bit quiet up there in Scotland, but please, you don't have to share all the details. I wish I had a cat, but I am not a cat girl. I wouldn't share my feelings, which is why I have a dog. A judgmental birch, exactly right. Manly men can be scary when they say they can't regulate their emotions. Difficulty with emotional regulation is a common neurodivergent trait. Unfortunately, diagnosed neurodivergence isn't manly angry as. Yes, exactly. So if you get diagnosed neurodivergence, then you are a pansy, obviously. You're just a delicate little flower, which is not very manly, taking accountability for who you are and trying to better that regulation. Not cool, man. But the thing is, yes, emotional irregulation is a neurodivergent thing, but it is not exclusively neurodivergent. There are way too many people who have no emotional regulation whatsoever. You can see that in even non-neurodivergents who are yellers, people who argue when they're yelling and they just want to bring someone down. That shows that they have not worked on themselves and that they are letting that emotion get the better of them. You can see it in parents when parents will yell, or even at sports matches when people are, come on, ref. Road rage is a full thing, and we're going to say everyone who experiences road rage are neurodivergent. If your answer is yes, I don't have a counter. But typically we wouldn't look at people with road rage as all neurodivergent, because road rage is its own phenomena. And so instead of that's annoying that I got cut off. So this is an example of emotional regulation. You're driving. Someone cuts you off and you go, frustration, maybe a little bit of a shock, surprise. But then you keep driving. That is where you got shocked or you got frustrated in that moment, but it doesn't overtake your entire moment. And then if we look at the extreme, road rage does. Sidewalk rage!
38.
Woo! Let's go! Thank you very much, Kiwi Man. Good to see you. Hi, Yannick. So road rage is the extreme of an emotional irregulation, which doesn't necessarily have anything to do with neurodivergence. It's just someone who is capable of controlling their anger in that moment. And like I said, if someone cuts you off, if you are not frustrated, that's a whole nother thing. that is, I don't even know what I would call that. But it is normal to just go, and maybe you go, like what are they doing? What are they thinking? That is frustration. It's just not overwhelming frustration that now makes you try and ram someone off the road like people with road rage experience. So yeah, go through that wall, exactly. But you're meaning that separate to the conversation. My apologies, but maybe that's what I should do. I should put a little trolley cart that makes it look like it's platform 9 3/4. I like that. We've had some good conversations today, I think, Huey man. It's been a lot of fun. Well, I've been enjoying myself. We covered a lot of things today. What if they are highly functioning mass neurodivergence? Exactly. It's just we never know these days. We never know. Kia ora, by the way. Thanks for popping in. Man usually learn a lesson when moving on to the next woman. They take that lesson. When that fails, they learn a lesson and move on. Pretty soon, the good woman gets the shell of a man who a bit. Mine is super scary, not because I can't share how I feel, but instead I have an avoidant girlfriend. Okay, stress, guilt, pressure triggers usually lead to massive withdrawal. Avoidant relationships only last 1 to 2 years, but here on a cycle of 16 withdrawals because this fool doesn't believe people are damned to never change. Glass half and belief in good over bad might be kryptonite in this scenario. Yeah, I don't have advice, Sean. I think, have I learned anything? Because I find psychology very interesting. It's something that has intrigued me for a long time. But I will confess that there is this intrigue on maybe understanding symptoms. But the thing that I'm lacking in my knowledge is like how to aid with those symptoms. So avoidant, for example, I don't know good ways to tackle avoidance because you don't want to be too what's the word I'm looking for? You don't want them to then be more skittish. Like if someone's already avoidant, you can potentially just keep pushing them away. I'll have to think about it because I did read a book that was talking about fair fighting. And maybe that one, there's some elements there that could be helpful for your situation. But I don't want to say too much before I think about it so a little bit more. Told myself I was out for good, but her dad passed, so I've been enduring the most uncomfortable dynamic for 6 months of shakiness between us to make sure she comes through her grief. Okay, yeah, and that's gonna be extra difficult for sure. I guess an easy cop-out answer, which doesn't necessarily help, is a third neutral party like a therapist for even you to get a different perspective. Because I find that sometimes what I will say is that getting multiple perspectives is really good because then it can help you make a decision. I find that for myself, I get a lot of anxiety over just decision making in general. And then once I've made the decision, I feel much more comfortable. So I know some people have struggles with regrets and things like this, but for me specifically, it's the lead up to the decision. Once I've made the decision, I'm pretty good at going, okay, well, now I have to change that. But I'm trying to work on the anxiety I feel of like trying to choose the right thing beforehand. And I often say there is no right or wrong, there is only choice. And sometimes we have to learn from our failures, all these things that people have heard over and over and over again. And so getting different perspectives are really good because then you can kind of take aspects there, take elements here, and try and help you figure out what you are going to do, not necessarily what you want to do or what you think is best, but just what you are going to do. And by the same token, I am someone who is a believer of you won't be able to advice doesn't mean it's going to be taken, right? Is you can have the best advice in the world and you can give that to someone who's in a situation you've seen over and over and over again, and you say, this is what I think you should do. And then they might do the exact opposite. Advice won't always be taken on board, but what advice should be is giving a different perspective, an opportunity for a person to think about something that they may not have been able to come up with on their own. And so in your situation, I would say that there might be, like, if you have access to therapy, that can be just someone, a neutral third party who can try and come up with ideas or strategies or just a choice that you might not have thought about on your own. Or maybe that's what the internet is for as well. So maybe it's less so about how to tackle it and more if we can think about ideas and then you can make a decision from there. And I think the book that I read might have some things, but I want to mull that over a bit more. Yeah. I fancy people with cardio. Road raging is a sign of weak emotional control. I 100% agree. 100% agree. I think that it is some of the most baby behavior I've ever seen in my entire life. Dang, he almost hit me. Ah! And then you just want to get into a fight, or you want to ride someone off the road. It's disgusting. And it's dangerous. And so they're not only putting themselves they're putting this other person at risk where they want to kill them or something, which is also ridiculous. Who has that response? It's ridiculous. But it also puts themselves in danger and everyone else on the road or even on the sidewalk. It is crazy. Crazy. They want to try brake track road trains. Okay, this one, I think those people are just actually idiots. And sometimes I forget that there are just actually idiots in the world. And I think that, it gives the same aura of prank YouTube. Anyhow, I briefly hope the other driver has a fire crash and then move on with my day. Exactly. So, you can wish for their fiery demise, but trying to create their fiery demise? People cut me off on the sidewalk all the time. I've been in multiple booty benders. I like this sidewalk rage. And slow walkers, Making sure she comes through her grief okay is commendable, but don't forget you need to bring yourself through the situation as well. You're allowed, but it's not even about walking away. I think it's about how to bring someone out of their grief as well. I think that something I can say from my own experience is it can be really infantilizing if someone is trying to coddle you. Those are all infantilizing words. So basically, if you are grieving and someone is walking on eggshells, it's not necessarily helping you get back to normal. And so I know that sometimes it is about having the tougher conversations and bringing all of that back to normalcy. But you yourself said that that they're avoidant, so that's why I'm hesitant with my why you just gotta bring them back into it. And how you do that is where I'm but I don't think it's necessarily about the walking away. It's about how do you tackle it with someone who's avoidant, and that can be tough. I don't think it is women specific. No, definitely not. For me, someone is telling me that what they are going through, I put a ton of energy into understanding it from their perspective and looking for solutions that will work for them. But sometimes if I tell people stuff I'm going through, they will give advice that might be what they would do, but makes me question if they understand me at all. Oh, I relate to this so hard. It's were you even listening? Do you even know who I am? Sometimes even if you're clear about what's going on and explain it clearly, they just might not understand. And that can be really, really tough for sure. Yeah, what the actual issue is for you. And so a lot of people often will try and find solutions. So this is I think if you find yourself in that situation again, Dave, remember that it's advice, you don't have to take it. And then you can just kind of shut that off. But on the flip side, a lot of people forget that when one is trying to express themselves, they're not always looking for a solution. They're not always looking for an answer. They simply just want to express themselves instead of bottling this up. And it might not be I don't know what to do. What can I do? It's I'm feeling really anxious right now, and I just want to put that out in the ether. And now someone knows that I feel anxious, and now I will continue to mull this over with less anxiety because I've expressed myself rather than bottled it up. So I'm a little bit more direct with my communication. But I have a friend who is similar, and whenever I was kind of lamenting about some of my issues, she would say, do you want
advice, like this is kind of reducting, but she said it very well in a way that I can't even replicate, but she would say like, do you want advice, do you want to try and come up with a solution, or do you want to just vent right now? And most of the time I just would want to vent, but in other times I'm like, yeah, like I don't know what to do about this, do you have any ideas? And that has now given me autonomy to give her the platform to go, okay, well, I'm kind of thinking this is what I'm hearing, maybe we could try that, and now you do what you will with that. And so autonomy is a big thing for me. Jesus loves you, thank fuck. She's so pretty, thank you, Asan. Sad to say, I learned I had anxious attachment abandonment kind of thing from it. I worked hard on the past 6 months. Good for you. Knowing she was going to be heavily withdrawn and saw it as an exposure therapy, all my triggers and anxieties maxed out. I've gotten really good at managing. I'm just currently near an exhaustion point because it's 6 months of give. But proud of my effort, and she's coming through her grief as well. That is like the thing is that it sounds like you have a lot of self-awareness, and you should be very proud of that as well. So. That doesn't, and similarly, that doesn't mean it's tough. And like I just said, is you can express all of this, and I'm very grateful that you have a space that you can express that without us necessarily having to be like, well, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just, like, here's the ace in the hole kind of situation. Sometimes it is just about, I've been feeling anxious, and it's been hard and exhausting. And now we keep walking and we keep going. and sometimes it's not more than that. It's not like, oh, like let me unsolicitedly put advice out there for you. But at the same time, I will try and mull over if there was something in the book that could help, I guess. With each subscription, I have a specific reason. The reason for you is common sense. Oh, thank you, Peter. That is very kind. Are you that lady from Daredevil? I wish. I think a big part of the issue is that when people are driven purely by the emotions or always just act impulsively rather than intentionally. Yes, and that's the thing is acting impulsively is also a lack of emotional regulation. I think you feel the impulse, you go do the thing, and then don't necessarily think about the repercussions of the future. But I also know that I could probably deal with a little bit more impulse in my life sometimes. But at the same time, that's why I'm here in the UK. I think that was one of the most impulsive things I've done, is just go, let's go. And that wasn't very impulsive either, but I'm very happy for it. So I do think some spontaneity is good for the soul for those of us like myself who are not spontaneous creatures. I fortunately have the power of intimidation by being big, bald, bearded guy, but I always try to diffuse road rage situations with kindness. Good. It seems to work the best usually, but sometimes there's no way around some people, I suppose. Exactly. When I think of road rage, I think of one lady in particular. Her license got revoked because of how bad her road rage was, and she ended up having to like do a full course. And this individual is probably a little bit taller than I'd say she's probably 5'9", so for a lady, fairly tall, very slender. And so she would have been in her 40s maybe, and so like just very, very slender. No, I wouldn't have called her Karen because I know some people might have got that idea. I'm trying to think if there's any like celebrities that I could compare them to. I guess like it would be, let's say me. Let's use me as an example, but in 10, 15 years from now. And if I just had extreme road rage, like you guys know me right now, I'm just pretty lax to do my thing. But this individual really struggled with road rage. Like I said, to the point where their license got taken off, and it took them this whole course before them to be able to get it back. And I don't know the full details. This is someone that like I knew through my parents, and you just wouldn't expect it. And that shows that they really struggled with whatever the hell was going on with them. And it's crazy. It's crazy. And so I know that there is another phenomenon, and maybe Thief Stalker for you, when you're saying you're trying to diffuse these situations with kindness, I can imagine, you know, when people talk about like the big teddy bear element where people who are slightly larger tend to have very soft voices because it is that, otherwise they could just become extra intimidating. They already have the physique, and so bringing that down with behavior can really help people not get more riled up. But I know that in your situation, if you're already kind of this big burlier guy, that people probably, when they're in this road ragey, adrenaline filled element, that they see a guy like you and then they get like too big for their boots and they're like, they want to bring you down, like David and Goliath vibes. And so, yes, so kindness is absolutely the thing but I can imagine that the other person is like, oh, like you words, insults, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, little old me looking up at you like, ah, I can bring you down. I can do anything. Because I know that some people have a complex about that. Like there was the guy who tried to push the actor of Jack Reacher off his motorbike, and it was like he was trying to pick a fight with the guy who plays Jack Reacher, who's massive, by the way, huge unit of a dude. And it's all on camera, and this little guy was trying to fight him. It's like, what are you thinking? What is like? You're gonna get one hit KO if you actually have a fight. Anyway, so there's something, I guess whether people call it like little man syndrome, hey, I don't like that term, but that's what I'm referring to. If you guys have a better term, please let me know. Hi Jasmine, how you going? Didn't change, kind of conclusion, it's hard enough removing her avoidant patterns without going through grief. I reckon the week's conversations, hence the overthinking. Yeah, exactly. You're like getting to where you're talking again. Hi, confused YouTuber. Hi, Athalia. If I could jump off the train here, I'd have a 5-minute walk, but they get upset if you pull the emergency handle. I guess I have to do with a 30-minute walk from the station. Well, maybe next time. You can think about it next time. Maybe if it's raining or something, pull the brake. That won't go wrong at all, and then you only have a 5-minute walk in the rain. My anxiety is dropped from you allowing to air it. Thank you. I'm so pleased. Yeah, and I know it's not the end. You're still going to go through a lot of troubles, but hopefully it's not like a build-up situation, because if it keeps building up, then it's going to be harder to deal with it here. So it's just kind of like that build-up, release, and then hopefully you'll be okay. Never lose your autonomy. Yes, I agree. I've taken the lesson from you, your friend. Do you want advice, or are you just looking to vent? I think it's a really good question. But you have to say it. Some people won't appreciate that. So it's about finding the best way to say it. It's like, hey, like I'm hearing you, and I want to give you this opportunity to vent. Is there anything you want me to offer? Otherwise, I'm ready to just sit down and listen. I don't know what the words are, but hopefully you can find them in the moment should you need to. Hi, Golden Age. Hi, Dreams. What do you think of people who blame everything on their parents' upbringing? That's how I feel. I am conflicted because I have a lot of empathy in a lot of ways, but you can see that I'm doing this with my eyes closed because it does bother me. It really does bother me, and I think it's because like I've had some pretty traumatic events in my life, and those I don't let define me. I think there are a lot of people who let their trauma define them. And I think that is a sad existence, and so in that sense I can, like I said, I can be empathetic. But a lot of people, they talk about the idea how you can't control the world, you can just control how you react to it. And that's kind of, I guess, what I practice myself is but the thing is, I can still be mad about situations. I can still be traumatized by situations, but I don't want that to now excuse my behavior. I guess my thought is, now that I've kind of thought about it out loud a bit more, Dave, is that the same people will often not take accountability, and that I have a lot less tolerance for. That's what bothers me, is if people are reactive, and sometimes rightfully so, something's made them feel upset and they burst out, and I've done this plenty of times as well. But if they
If they are struggling to take accountability and reflect, then like, I don't know. But apparently that can be, here's another acronym for you from all of the talks of earlier. I think that's a bit of borderline personality disorder, but I don't know enough about BPD to be certain. But there's like lack of sense of self. And so how can you take accountability if you have no sense of self? It's really interesting when you see kids' behavior, for example, where they will just lie to try and not take accountability. Like how do we teach kids? And this is not necessarily rhetorical. It's just a question that I have been curious about. Is so say a kid has done has like eaten the last cookie, you know, and we all know that they were the one who ate the cookie. And they just keep on lying and lying and lying and doubling down and deflecting. Like, these kids learn this at a very young age. And I say this from seeing my niece at like 5 or 6 years old. It's just this lie. It's not fair. Why are you asking me all these questions? Like, it's really fascinating to consider the fact that that kind of behavior is learned at such a tiny young age. But I think without learning more about psychology, it's like, why are they lying about it? And so I usually try and take the approach of like, you're not in trouble. We just want to know. We just want to know what happened to the cookie. It's not a blame. And so then I guess that in itself, they think that they're going to be in trouble for eating the last cookie. But then why do they think they're going to be in trouble? Is that because of how parents react based on situations that they had? And then it just becomes this constant where is this from? Or is it just nature? Are we just scared to tell the truth? Is telling the truth scary? Is honesty frightening? Yes, absolutely. You know, talk to a tree or a woman about your feelings and then you know honesty is scary for sure. So I think there's something to be had there. But like I said, I just find it fascinating that it can be seen in kids as young as 5 or 6 years old. And it's that's the kind of thing that makes me curious, I guess. I find human behavior fascinating. Yes, yeah, I know. I just wanted to see how it would work out, Faz Harris. You know, they keep on saying that it's just easier being a girl, but it's really not. Okay, yeah, it was my alter ego in heels with the road rage. Slender Anne, that's hilarious. I like that. Yeah, Slender Anne is actually not a bad one. I'm gonna call her Anne in the future, the road rage lady. Do make crazy decisions out of the blue, but I could never bring myself to move like that. I wish I could. Scotland is calling. Scotland. I was looking at Scotland, but like I said, I of course would choose where I am if I've got the sweet situation that I have right now. I'm not familiar with Caleb Francis. Sorry, Kiwi man. I don't know who that is. My apologies. Is that a nuisance streamer or something? Often the parents probably had a worse upbringing themselves. Yes, for sure. And that's what I mean is you can look back at it, understand the empathy, but we need to change and break that cycle at some point. Possibly less money and resources. Yep, exactly. Despite crazy house costs, people really have more disposable incomes now, and especially in Australia. Australia has it pretty darn good. Leaving Australia has made me realize Australia's got it pretty good. Yeah, a lot more stigma around mental health as well in the past, but even nowadays. Mine was a funny answer to people who always blame their parents or blame their parents for being like that, but it's also kind of true. Napoleon syndrome. I like Napoleon syndrome. Need a punch in the face once in their life syndrome. Exactly. Need actions to their consequence. It's like a Karen, but in like it's a Chihuahua. Maybe we could say Chihuahua because that's like little man syndrome. But if you think of a yappy Chihuahua, it's like yeah, we'll call it Chihuahua syndrome. Best advice I try to give to everyone is at least try a martial art combat sport. It's not for everyone, but try. You learn self-control, can protect yourself and the people who lack the self-control. And it can be confronting and overcoming that confrontation too, I think is really good. I impulsively went on a 13-day vacation to Grand Canyon. Oh my gosh, 1.5 hours notice before I walked out the door. I went hiking. It was awesome. That's incredible. And then I was bedridden for 3.5 days. But did you love it? I that feels like something you would not regret though. There are unfortunately lots of people with beer guts who think they can just see red and take on the world. Let me at him. Let me at him. I like the way you separate the situation from the parent themselves. Yeah. I have an infurement. Okay. This is a made up word, but I have an infurement about people who reject accountability, deflectors, projectors, gaslighters. Hey! And that's the thing is I think there probably is something to be said about the fear of seeing yourself as a bad guy maybe. And that's that sense of self you don't want to break, because I always feel really guilty when I've hurt someone's feelings. Like, it really sucks, and it doesn't feel nice, and then I get really upset because someone else got upset. And so I think that these people who don't take accountability, deflectors, projectors, gaslighters, they're probably trying to avoid that feeling of guilt, because guilt does not feel good. That's my theory, at least. It's just a theory. A social theory. I didn't even eat the last cookie. Wow, it's interesting that you're the one who brought up the cookie when I wasn't saying you specifically, Kiwi Man. It isn't frightening, you ginger freak. Oh, it's okay, Kiwi Man. You can get away with it. We have to teach kids as one person. Suddenly, a lot of people put kids in the same bottle and treat me all the same. Yeah, exactly. And I think about that with people in general. We can use generalizations to try and better a community, but we still need to teach. We still need to talk to people as individuals too. I think it is the opposite. There are no consequences for kids. I do agree with this as well. I think that I think that there is a lot of soft parenting that's been going on. I was in a store. There were 2 housespawns ages 8. I couldn't do anything to stop their mayhem, and they knew karate. Oh my gosh! But yes, Lost Edge. I do agree with you. I think that there a lot of people recognize the trauma that they got from their parenting or teaching styles, and then they don't want to put that on their kids. But then they don't have discipline on the kids, and then the kids become menaces. And so it's very easy to say as a non-parent, though. I recognize that I am a backseater in this conversation, and I know that it would be really hard to be the bad guy as a parent as well. When you had bad guy parents, essentially, you don't want to put that on your kids. It's a tough balance. It's tough being a parent. I started uni in September at 24. I want to finish it first and then make the step to move. So hopefully in 5 years. Yeah, and I mean, I've just moved as a 29-year-old. If that helps give you any inspiration as well. There's no rush whatsoever, Thief Stalker. The lawn has been raked! Yay! You leave Australia, want to enter Australia? I really do recommend it, Raina. I think that Australia has got a great economy. It's got great cost of living. I definitely understand the desire to want to go to Australia. You know, how people used to talk about America, of like the land of opportunity. I think Australia's got a lot of good things going for it. High education. I think Australia is great. But I left because I want to travel and see a lot of different cultures, and it's very hard to travel to Europe when in Australia. Ah, yes. Okay, yes. Is he electrician? Is he or is that someone else again? Am I thinking of the right person? Caleb Francis. I'm thinking of the fat electrician. Let me know if I'm confusing 2 different people though. One person who needed a punch in the face was Syndrome from The Incredibles. Hilarious. I like it. So punch in the face syndrome works as well. Okay. I will, you know what? I will get their face in my mind and then I will. Oh, yes. Yes. I recall now. Thank you. I have seen this. I can hear their voice now as well. I just needed to put the face to the name again. Your tongue is pleasant to listen to. Well, thank you. I will not be doing any ASMR like they do with the ear licking, however. I just posted the last known whereabouts of the cookie in Discord and the memes. Okay, I'll check in a second. Why would you be bad if you could be good? Yeah. It's just... Yeah, anyway. Hi, J-Joy. What are deflectors, projectors, and gaslighters? So a deflector is someone who will kind of try and take the conversation away from what it is. So they're deflecting as a way, and usually it's used in this term of avoiding, like it's avoidant. So it might be like, oh, hey, did you eat the last cookie? And they're like, oh, the last cookie. Oh my gosh, did you see that the fruit bowl is empty as well? And so that's an example of deflecting, is instead of saying yes or no to the question, they brought up something else. A projector, however, is someone who will put their own insecurities or feelings onto another. So, hey, did you eat the last cookie? Why would you think I ate the last cookie? Is that because you ate the last cookie? And so that is both a deflection and a projection. Whereas like maybe if you weren't so hungry, you wouldn't be thinking about who ate the last cookie. But that is a projection because I was so hungry and I ate the cookie. And so I'm projecting that onto you. And then a gaslighter, they are someone who will basically lie and confuse the situation. And so if it's like, hey, did you eat the last cookie? Well, when I saw there was a cookie there. Is there a cookie there now? It's like, well, and I don't even know how to say gaslighting in this context. It's just basically trying to make you feel like you were the one who ate the cookie, I guess. Where it's like, well, are you just saying that because there was only one last cookie and now you're trying to put it on me? Like, why do you do this? You always do this. It is manipulative. Yes, all of these are very manipulative. You're absolutely correct. So that's probably a nice, succinct way of putting it, is it's a manipulation of conversation, not always a manipulation of a person. And they can be used in a lot of different contexts. Yeah, what even is a cookie? We didn't even have. Oh, here's a gaslighting. I've got the example for gaslighting. Hey, did you eat the last cookie? We didn't have any cookies. What do you mean? We've not had cookies in the house for ages. That is the gaslighter. I found there. We cookied on that one. Where it's like, well, how can I have eaten a cookie when we haven't had cookies? And you're like, no, I bought a pack just like last weekend. Well, there haven't been any cookies. Yeah, that is the gaslighter. I haven't seen any cookies. What are you talking about? You must have made it up. That's the gaslighter. Would you brought up the word that you want to avoid it? Do you perhaps think my disdain to people not taking accountability with projector in deflecting and gaslighting might be tied to the word avoidant? Maybe. My apologies. I did a thing with lying with my kiddo recently where I didn't want to put too much pressure on, and so I asked, can you see why grown up might think you're lying? And I think that helps. Yeah, I think that's a good way of tackling it as well, where it's like, it's so a situation I had was instead of trying to get the kid to explain this, like, hey, did you eat the cookie? I asked them, okay, well, regardless of what happened with the cookie, if it was an accident, it's okay. But what do you think we should do now? So that was kind of my approach to this situation, is instead of trying to figure out who ate the last cookie, because the last cookie is gone. That is now the reality. Whatever happened to the last cookie, it is gone. And so my approach was, okay, well, what do you think we should do now? Instead of being like, hey, I know you ate the cookie, it's like, what do you think we should do? Maybe get some new cookies? Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Should we get some new cookies together? Let's go get some new cookies. And I think it would be a really nice thing if, you were able to replace the cookies. Obviously, this is now far from the hypothetical. In my situation, it was about cleaning. There was a mess that was made, and instead of trying to figure out who made the mess, I said, "Well, what do you think is a good idea?" Because, I don't want to accidentally slip on this mess, and so they're kind of being silent. And I was like, "Okay, well, do you think it would be a good thing to clean it up so that no one else steps on this mess?" Because that was kind of the issue, is that they had stepped on the mess and then didn't clean it up, and then they cleaned it up without me accusing them of being like, you were the one who made the mess. It was just, what do you think we should do now? And so now they cleaned up the mess. I wanted them to apologize for making the mess, but we take the win that they cleaned it up. That was my one. Stop eating so many cookies. They're not good for you. Don't tell me what to do. I'd be a parent for a week and stream the experience. It's like the high school project that they do where they give
I'm
the
doing my
eggs.
part.
So I can try and look after an egg for a week. New work just came out, so I have to say goodbye. No stress, Stone Lord. Yeah, exactly. You got a lot of stuff that you have to do, but good on you for actually doing it. Okay. I'm an electrician? Shocking, I know. Well, that was very quick and clever. Soft parenting sucks. Your kid needs to learn that about the earth isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and you are not your kid's friend. That is kind of the take that I have on parenting. I got very lucky. I think that I love my parents and I hang out with them once a week and whatnot. But I think a lot of people with soft parenting, it feels like they're trying to be their friend rather than trying to be a parent. And that's where I feel like some issues, not all issues, but some issues come from. Gotcha, Kiwi man. Gotcha. Well, you can share one every now and again if you'd like. I'm from New Zealand. Bob the Builder called his ex-wife drunk and sobbing and kept asking if they could fix it. Can we fix it? Oh, goodness gracious. Yes, parents should be a safe haven, but not necessarily a friend. I don't think that you can have friendly elements, but there's a difference between being a friend and being a parent. And I think safe haven is a great word for sure. I ate it, should have hidden it. Clem successfully deflected and gaslight you into explaining what deflectors, gaslights, and projectors, you fool, damn it. That is true, but soft parenting isn't teaching discipline, which is really important in human life. Exactly. And so I think that you can have a safe haven while teaching discipline. So, for example, a safe place to get hurt. I think that you can't. So soft parenting, I would say, is like preventing the child from getting hurt at all. Bad parenting would be hurting the child. Let's not do that anymore. And then I think that the good parenting can be allowing the kid, to fall over, hurt themselves, and let themselves get back up. There was this beautiful, oh my God, I want to see if I can see it. What would it be called? There was this beautiful short that I saw. I've only just remembered it now. I want to say like a year ago, and it was a kid who was on a balance beam, and he was only 3 or 4 years old, and he was so scared that he was crying and crying and crying. And so he's on this, like, it's basically a wooden plank with springs underneath it, and so if you stand on it, it goes like this, right? And so the kid has tried to hop on top of it, feeling this entire thing shake underneath him. He's bawling his eyes out, and the parent was filming it, but it was actually made for a very sweet interaction where the parent was like, "It's okay, like, you can do it, just take your time, stand up." He's like, "No, get me off, get me off, get me off, like, I don't want to be on here, it's too scary," all this kind of tantrum, like, and he's so scared, and so then he'd like lift his hands up and put them back on the plank, and he's crying, and then eventually, just to get through the story, is the kid stands up, wobbles a little bit, and it goes, "Oh, that's not so bad." And it was so sweet because it just showed the patience of the parent. And I think that that's probably another issue, right? Is you see this kid who's bawling his eyes out, and all you want to do is take away that hurt and that anxiety. Like, I completely understand a parent in that situation wanting to take away the pain that this kid is feeling in the moment. But to take away that pain, all the parent did was be patient and let the kid figure it out for themselves that actually it's not so bad. And then they stood upright and they toddled across the beam, and they, wobbled a few times, and then they had a big happy smile, and then they jumped off, and then they were like, "Let's go again, let's go again." And so that, I think, is an example of good parenting where it is letting them be scared, letting them
feel this emotion and hurt, but the parent is still there. They are in a safe environment, and that kid was able to experience like the failure and then overcome that as well. Intentional parenting, that's cute. It was in Reacts, was it, Cody Cameron? And so I don't think we need to watch it. It's just, I think I did a good enough explanation. And so that's, I think, a good example of a safe haven. Cheers. I think that's a good example of a safe haven without necessarily kind of telling a kid. It's just, or trying to be overly protective, which is great. Okay, I'll catch up with some of these here. What are you doing over on YouTube now, Sean? That is the Gaslighter indeed. I know cooking survived me that long in my presence. Yeah, that's why the cookie was disappeared. Good morning, Goku. Hi, big man. And been lurking with you on the TV. I forgot to say hi. And Rumi loved your combos. Oh, thank you so much, Mordish. That's really kind. I do really appreciate that. Cool. I've been discerned for 4 years straight now, walking back and forth around the house, tripping out on fluoride on my gums, haven't slept since 12 a.m. It's 5 a.m. now! Oh, you poor thing! Well, Francis, I'm sorry that you're going through this, but thanks for supporting. I'll be very honest, I'm very good in arguments. I have to really, really pull myself back in to try not come out on top of an argument, instead go through it as healthy as I can. Yeah, as a team, right? Rather than trying to prove someone wrong, you have to go through that process together and get them to come to the realization instead of feeling like they're being talked down on. The gaslighting, deflecting, and projecting responses are all on the tip of my tongue, but I don't think they resolve anything. So I actively avoid responses that can be categorized by them to try get a healthy resolution. I'm not a win this argument. Yes, and that's kind of the book that I read. It's about fair fighting, where if one person wins, everyone loses. So it's about kind of that finding that understanding together. You can be friends with your parents, but you are not friend. You are a parent first. So I'm friends with my parents. Absolutely. I love hanging out with my parents. I love chatting with them. I love just lamenting and expressing myself with them. I've got great parents, and I am friends with my parents, but my parents are not my friends. I don't know how to make that more obvious. If you get it, you get it. But I guess the same way, your friends can have a maternal or paternal feeling about them. Like, I get called Auntie Clem, for example, even amongst my friendship group. You can have this this motherly or fatherly personality, but that doesn't mean your friend is your parent. It's just semantics, I suppose. Hello. Hi, JJ. I grew up with an incapable... Oh, sorry, hold on. Let me see what Kiwi Man was. Your parents should be confidants, not friends. Did you break your leg? Let me help, as opposed to, did you get bullied at school? Tell me about it. I think that the parents can still provide a place for the kid to say what happened. But yes, the breaking the leg, it's like, okay, you've broken your leg, let's figure this out. Although your friends can do that. Maybe not as good examples, but I think we get it. I grew up with incapable parents, you poor thing. Luckily, my grandma raised me with basically zero father figure. I have become an uncle a few months ago. I'm super happy to see how my brother is handling being a father, knowing how we grew up. It always reminds me just how, just because you don't have a figure to look up to, you can still be a good person. Yeah, you can still be that role model as well, even if you didn't have one in your life. Oh, well, good on you for recognizing the situation. And I don't know how close you are to your brother and their family, like as in literally proximity. But you too can be a good role model in the kid's life too. Just as a little FYI. We have this idea that with my brother, if we have kids, he has one now, we will encourage them to do at least one sport and one style of art it's good for them. And then I found one of the beautiful things about my school is that they, it was a good school. And they had art, they had sport, they have maths, they have science, they have a whole bunch of things that you could try, which then means you can learn more about what you're interested in. And not every school has that, especially public schools. And so I'm a big believer of just kind of providing opportunities for kids to find their interests, because a lot of people really struggle to know what their hobbies are and what their interests are because they weren't necessarily exposed to a bunch of stuff either as a kid or even as an adult either. So I think that is awesome if they're exposed to a few things. But you're right that even that can help learn for failure, hard work, and then sports with team building and skills. All great things for sure. We can watch it in August. Sounds like a plan. Because I have my kids at least one sport, and sometimes they are arts as well. They can express themselves through physicality. Hell yeah. My pappy would have made fun of me for that. Not a good example of parenting. My mum would have coddled me about it. Also not a good example of parenting. I love my mum. Yeah, you know. But that's the thing is, you can critique people without not still having love and appreciation for them. Like, I can critique my parents a lot. Sorry, mum and dad, but I can. But that doesn't mean I don't love them. I'm not so appreciative of everything that they've given me. My best friend's dad would have been the one to encourage me across. Aww, nice. Your folks can be your friends, but they're not your peers. Yeah. I don't even know why I'm doing it right now. I guess it's not intentional. I think that's something that you have to remind yourself is that there's a lot going on and it's not always intentional that you're struggling with sleep. That's not on you. Exactly 9 Fox! I was actually thinking since we're kind of caught up that we should start wrapping up. I'm trying to make harder cutoffs. Yeah, congrats to your brother indeed. I can't wait to be a dad. Yes, you brought this up before and I think that's so beautiful. All right, everyone. One moment, please. Cold tea. Because I am caught up with the chat, that's where we're going to leave it today in terms of the just chatting. I really enjoyed myself. I think it was, we had a lot of different conversations today that were also really like chill but in depth. And thank you guys for contributing. If you have enjoyed yourself, consider subscribing. And if you want to still continue hanging out, we're about to play some games. We're heading over to Twitch or the XClem Plays YouTube channel to play some Red Dead Redemption 2. So if you want to join in, come hang out over on Twitch or the XClem Plays YouTube channel. However, the latter does not have live chat available, so I do recommend Twitch for the gaming. So that way you can stay interacting. And yeah, just if you've enjoyed yourself, give us a like. It helps us reach more people. But yeah, we're gonna end it over on the YouTube. I'm gonna say goodbye now. That's all. Okay. Bye, YouTube. See you later. Come hang out over on Twitch if you want to see some games. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow for some more yippee yappers.